assistant county attorney who's been our supporter now, filling Michael Jacobs, taking over from Michael Jacobs, supporting the committee. Lydia Hernandez is with DOT, and Lydia, my understanding is you'll now be taking minutes for the
Yes,
meeting?
I will.
And there may be times when I come to you to say, what did we say 20 minutes ago?
Yes.
Because I've lost track, just because if conversations get out of hand, that can happen. So thank you for that. And we're still all committee members till I get over to Jillian Scholler, who's with DOT, Bruce Littlejohn, who's with DOT, and who have I missed? I think that's everybody except members of the public. So first order of business after that is approval of the minutes from the May 15th meeting. They've been distributed. We've all had a chance to read them. Are there any comments on the minutes? Yes.
Hi, I was not at the meeting, but I watched it because I was living in
Right.
town. So, but I asked if this was appropriate. Under the permit for off-island service providers, the first bullet point, it says, service providers do not need a permit if they're exempted from restrictions. So I called Nathan, who then sent me to Lisa Weaver, and her response was just a little different. So to me, this is the educational component.
Right.
And if it's reflected in the minutes, I think we have to make sure that their minutes are very clear.
Yeah.
So down below it says, one solution has been to get guest passes. Lisa Weaver from Lee County Parks and Rec said, you have to get them from each home.
Right.
And so there's, but it kind of says service providers do not need, and it says it has been so I believe Gary brought this up. The service providers don't understand that, so they can have a pool person, and they're going, well, I can't get them from every single person, I can't, so I said to Lisa, what's the solution? She said, well, if it's your pool person, they can, if they're in the zone, they can just use yours, but that means you're vouching for them. I didn't love that. I don't know why that didn't feel right, so I'm just thinking they're within, I just don't think it's clear. If I show this to the contractor that's in my house right now, he still won't understand
Okay.
what he can do.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Joe, but I believe the minutes are only designed to reflect what was said in the meeting as opposed to provide general education.
But
So-
you didn't vote on it because you, I think, assumed or intuited that it would be clear. I'm just saying, it would be great to have clarity.
I
don't think it's
understand, and we'll defer to Joe, but what I will say is, your statement of what the Lee County people said to you is my understanding. The one thing that's missing from what you said is that permits are only to be used during the provision of services, and I believe that was said in the last meeting as well. And perhaps that's
Yeah.
not.
I also believe it was said that, it's a very practical matter. Service providers that have clearly marked vehicles don't really need it because as a custom, they will not be ticketed
Right, so.
if they're providing services at all.
So, one of the providers in my house doesn't have, so that I guess magnets or no magnets, and then they were told they can't put a magnet, but I know people are. So, as I said, I think you guys did a great job, I watched it, I'm not sure it's clear. So-
Right, I think there's education to do. What I will say, because I'm pretty familiar with all this, in terms of what all the ordinance says, is that service providers may park during the provision of services.
Okay.
All the additional requirements of, gee, you need to have something on your vehicle, gee, you need to have a house guest pass, are things that frankly came from the sheriff's office to make it practical to enforce. So we may wanna consider that at some point in the future, but in terms of the minutes, I think we are only meant to cover what was said in the meeting, and if
Thank
there's
you. I
something
just
missing there that's material, we should add. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about the minutes. Does it matter that, people's names are, not necessarily correct, or may not necessarily be spelled correctly, or, I mean, does that make a difference in the minutes, or not?
Personally, I would like to fix errors, I'd like our minutes to be accurate.
Okay,
So if you have changes.
Like Pierce Walmsley, I'm thinking the name is Walmsley, maybe?
Yes.
Dina Beaumont, it's Beaumont, Beaumont.
right. Peter Powell had 2 L's.
Yes, Peter Powell's 2 L's.
If I can, this is why we ask everyone to
Yes.
sign in, cause we're going off of recordings and
Right, sure.
not everybody speaks all very clearly. And so it's hard to decipher from a recording or scribble down a name very quickly while everyone's speaking.
I totally
So
understand.
this is why we ask everyone to sign in and clearly write your name so that we can accurately reflect names on the minutes, you know?
Perfect.
We are only human.
And I think, and I can't find it at this very second, but it was the, Dusty Hoffman, it's Hopkins, Hopkins.
You know that one?
You're sure about that?
And those were just ones I just happened to catch.
And I think the first point, Mark Wood, he spoke against restricting the, permit. So this one, it says he would like to see the restrictions loosened in the off-season.
That is correct. I missed that.
Comment, Joe, you might be able to expound on that. Minutes really aren't a transcript, and so that probably could never be communicated in a way that someone expressed it or what they thought they expressed, and so minutes really would just have who moved, what the vote was, or motion.
That's absolutely right. I mean, we're having a 3-hour-long meeting. It's not a verbatim transcript of what happened. It's a general discussion about what happened in the votes. But if there is an error in the minutes, this would be the opportunity to fix an error.
But are we meant to be recording community comments? I mean, summarizing community comments, or do we only deal with the motion and the discussion between
No,
board members following the motion?
The minutes can certainly take down, community comments, but it's not going to be a 3-paragraph long discussion. Like I said, it's gonna be a very brief discussion, so if there is an error, feel free to bring that up.
Yeah, and there's a risk of misinterpretation. This is a tough job, so I'm glad I don't do it. So thank you, Paul. But I think it's important then that where there are comments, we clarify, so that, you know, these are public minutes, you know, I wouldn't wanna be mischaracterized. I have another question, because just as a practical matter, we received the minutes, and the meeting is freshest in our mind then. We may be going a couple months between meetings at times, or more. I was told when I wanted to call in comments after the first meeting that I was only allowed to give comments in a public forum. Is there a way that we could legally comment using the Boca Grande parking, and that then Nathan would circulate our comments amongst the whole committee so that we can, and then maybe in a public forum for disclosure, you could summarize what the changes are, so that everyone hears it and can say that they agree. But I just feel like we're more likely to be accurate if we can comment when we get the minutes shortly after the meeting, which you're pretty good at turning around minutes, by the way, so thank you.
There really can't be a discussion between the members about the minutes.
Can each member submit comments to the county?
Certainly.
Okay, I was told I couldn't, so it is legal for us, so we can just make that clear to everyone, so that we're able to do it, that we can comment before, as soon as, whenever we get the minutes, when we're ready, we comment, and then
Can you reply all or just
well, we're told, no,
No,
can't reply
reply.
all, but reply
to Nathan?
Just to make sure.
just to Nathan. He will get it to the appropriate person, and at the meeting then, he will read out what the changes proposed to the minutes were. We can see whether everybody agrees in a public forum, and we can ask whether there are more changes. Is that a good process?
Legally sound?
That's
So
what I'm
if
asking.
individual committee members receive a draft of the minutes before the comment
But you're
Okay.
commenting back on what was incorrect. You're not
Correct.
adding comments, you're
Correct.
commenting back on what was incorrect.
Factual errors.
Factual errors,
In
yes.
the minutes.
Based on your understanding, again, we're all human, which is why it'll get read out in front of everyone, and we'll figure out whether that was correct.
So, for procedural, so that Nathan knows, because he was not able to make it today, if he receives those comments, and this is mostly directed at Joe, should he edit the minutes or take a note of the suggested edits?
I think it might be more of a practice of looking and saying, oh, yes, we went back and listened again.
And confirmed
that this was a Scrivener's error, we can fix that and then put it in the draft minutes that can be discussed by the committee and.
That'd be great, but the opportunity to verify with the recording, I think is very helpful.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on that?
No, from a procedure, would it be then, when we make a motion to accept the minutes with revisions, kind of like when you're sending a financial thing to audit,
Exactly right.
is there like a comment or a motion that the chairman should ask for to submit it, subject to those changes? Would there be an appropriate motion?
That would be at the meeting, correct? There would need to be discussion about an motion for, we can do that today.
Yeah.
Okay, we can.
Anything else? Okay. Lydia, is it too much to ask you to quickly read out your understanding of what you heard the changes were today, so that we know what it's in?
Well, I believe that the changes are, well, I have to go back because honestly, I have to actually listen to, because this is my first meeting, so I need to know names first.
Got
I
it.
will go back, and once I have them, I mean, I can't tell you right now, I mean, I know that we're gonna make the changes where if anybody needs any changes or comments that are incorrectly, or wants me to submit it, then we, ask Nathan to talk to you, Joe, for any clarification.
So what I'd just like to make sure, I'm fine with saying there's a bunch of names changes, and that's part of the motion.
Yes.
There was also at least one material change, which was a different understanding of what was said by Mark Wood. And
Which I
it
think
seemed
we
to-
should confirm with the recording before actually agreeing to make that change.
Well, then we can't move to accept
I
the
mean,
minutes today.
we can, when, we can go back to the office and confirm it with the recording,
Okay.
and then,
So
so
subject to
I feel like we
confirmation.
could make a motion to agree it on the grounds that that gets confirmed.
Got it,
And it can be then documented either way.
perfect. All right, thank you very much, Sandy. We can
Happy.
actually get moving, and we won't have to order out for dinner. All right, so we have a motion to approve, subject to changes made today.
Second?
Second, thank you. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Wow, progress. Opportunity next on the agenda is public comment. Once again, 3 minutes per speaker. This is meant to be public comment only on agenda items. The 3 agenda items are education and signage, discussion of seasonal relief from the ordinance, and I believe just so you know, the proposal on the table was that there be seasonal relief in the business district of the 3-hour limitation, but I think feel free to comment on whatever you want with respect to it. And then discussion, it says of golf cart, the discussion, again, that you had meant to flag was whether golf cart providers could have the right to issue guest passes to people who were staying on the island at a hotel, motel, or as a house guest, or whether the source had to be the hotel, motel, or house guest for those passes. So those are the 3 items as I understand them. Everyone agree those are the items? All right, public comment? And there'll be an opportunity for public comment in general on the ordinance later in the meeting.
Hugh, I would like to speak on item A.
Okay, please start by saying your name.
Sure.
if that-
Jeff Medroth, and I'm representing Open Shores of Southwest Florida. So, good afternoon, members of the committee. I would like to speak on this item A, which is essentially education and signage. I'm here to speak about a Florida state statute that directly affects what this committee is trying to do and manage. with ordinance 2516. Many of you may not be aware of Florida statute 316.1964. Okay, so this is a statute that clearly states that vehicles with handicap plates, disabled veteran plates, or handicap placards from any state, even Canada, are exempt from permit-only parking restrictions.
This isn't on the agenda. You can comment in the other section.
Sir, it has to
Oh,
do
it's on
with-
education.
Yes, it has
Got
to do with
it. Okay,
education.
thank you.
So, thank you. So, as I said, they are, these placards, these license plates, they are exempt from permit-only parking restrictions with very limited exceptions. They are bus loading zones, fire lane zones, aisle access in parking lots, no parking zones, emergency vehicle zones, and permitting in excess of posted times, okay? That's it. No one with these legal designations should be receiving violation tickets on the numbered streets, in the business district areas, or on any other public streets of Boca Grande, including in front of the Lighthouse Methodist Church and on the Gilcrest Median. This pertains specifically to education and signage, right? So we have many residents and visitors in our communities who rely on these protections because of age, because of injury, or military service. These are our neighbors, these are our family members. Denying them access is not only against state law, it's against basic decency and ADA Title IV protections. All right, so ordinance 2516 has clearly harmed and angered many people on and off this island. How can this committee help? All right, first, validate that exemption immediately with the Lee County Sheriff's Office. We are very fortunate to have the District 3 commander who lives here. You know him. I think a lot of you are personal friends with him. He's a very great, very decent guy. Please work with him to validate this and communicate this, okay? Second, make it a priority to inform the residents and the businesses that this will help our local businesses, support our houses of worship, and begin to mend the fences, both on this island and off this island. Third, and as influential members of this community, I urge you to demand that Lee County immediately fix the street ADA parking problems on 5th Street. This situation is untenable. That ramp has not been open for 8 weeks, all right? That's shameful, frankly it is, okay? And finally, the final thing I'd like to address is there's over 470 violation notices that were sent to residents for illegal parking, illegal landscaping in the right of ways.
Your time's up, sir, can you wrap it
Sure.
up?
Yeah, basically, I would ask you, please work with the county to restore those spaces. It would go a long way with solving this parking issue.
That
Thank
is
you very
not on
much.
the agenda. And you, so, first thing, Joe, I think the legal issue is being raised about whether or not.
My suggestion is that we get through public comment and then we can have
Okay.
committee discussion.
That's exactly, okay, and as a part of the education. Okay, got it, thank you. Appreciate that. Any other public comment?
Yes, hi. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chris Boyden. I work at I work at the Palm on Park, the Lily store, but I'm representing both the Palm and Ariel, owned by Jennifer Birch. She owns both of us. And last time that I spoke, I neglected to talk about that both of our stores were severely damaged by Ian, by Debbie, not so much damage, but closure, and then Helene and Milton. With Milton, both stores had 3 feet of water in our stores. So between Ian and Milton, those 2 years, we were closed almost a full year. That's where all of our bills are going out and not a penny coming in. We had to do a lot of cash outlay to get the stores back up and running, to rebuild so we could open, so we could make money. The other thing is, we have always been, well, not always, but for many, many years, closed on the 4th of July.
Excuse me.
And I am
Please tell me what agenda.
I am so
item is
sorry,
being raised.
I should have done that first. I'm talking about relaxing downtown.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm so sorry.
No
Oh,
problem.
you know, I'm a blonde, I'm a little backwards.
Come on, I like that.
I know she is. I tell her I got new Lily. But we're gonna have to be open for the 4th of July because our numbers are down. We appreciate all of the islanders that come and shop with us, appreciate them more than they know, more than you guys know. But we also depend on our off-island residents that come and shop with us and support us year-round. They're not just here for a few months or however long, they shop with us year-round. And as I said last time, they're upset, their feelings are hurt, and they're a little angry. If we could relax the summer hours and the summer parking downtown, leave everything else alone, leave the numbered streets alone, leave them as they are. Just the downtown area. It's just 2 or 3 blocks one way and a couple blocks the other way. If we could just get a little break, maybe we can get the off-islanders back shopping with us, because there's not a lot of them here now. And our numbers, both stores, our numbers are down, as are a lot of other stores. So if you could maybe give us a break, that'd be awesome. And we do appreciate, and I appreciate you listening. Thank you.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon, my name is Lisa Sims. I am Director of Operations for Gasparilla Adventures. Thank you for allowing me to speak today. I would like to speak about allowing established golf cart rental companies the ability to issue parking permits for the golf carts that we rent. We're not asking for the 2 or 4 hour rentals to be allowed to have parking passes. We're talking about the long-term rentals longer than a day. Gasparilla Adventures, along with Boca Grande Cart Rentals and Cappy's Carts, are established local companies, and we have ties to the community. Gasparilla Adventures maintains records of our customers, rental agreements and rental periods, making us well positioned to issue and track parking passes responsibly. Passes could be designed specifically for golf carts and be limited to the duration of the rental and clearly displayed on the golf cart, ensuring accountability and reducing the potential for misuse. A lot of visitors that come to the island rent houses, condominiums, and short-term rentals. A lot of times these rentals are not your typical go to the front desk, pick up your key rentals. They're rentals that are check-in. When they come on island, they usually are provided a parking pass for their vehicle and their rental. But because local rental companies are trying to stay within the guidelines and issue 1 parking pass for the vehicle of the renter, we have a lot of customers that rent golf carts from us that don't have an extra parking pass in their rental. However, right now, we are not allowed to issue any additional parking passes for them. Part of the charm of Boca Grande is riding to the stores and restaurants in a golf cart. This proposal benefits everyone involved. Visitors gain a better experience and can enjoy the island without confusion about parking. Local businesses are better able to serve their customers, and the community benefits from the transportation option that helps reduce reliance on larger vehicles while preserving the character of Boca Grande. Thank you for your time and consideration. This proposal supports local businesses, improves the visitor experience, and helps reduce vehicle congestion, making it a win for our guests, our businesses, and our community.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yes.
Yes.
My name is Richard Cucci, C-U-C-C-H-I. I know that's a tough one for the record. I own caddy carts. We have been playing by the rules for over 35 years on Boca Grande. We are definitely confused on the direction that golf carts may or may not go. We don't play the day tripper game. We have a weekly minimum. We only deliver to either a resident or a business. We will not deliver to a parking lot. We have tried to comply with the GICIA over the years, and everybody that's been part of the governing board of golf carts, including the sheriff's department, who we've donated their golf cart for well over 30 years to patrol the island. I would hate for one of my drivers to get ticketed by one of my own golf carts, by one of the island deputies. During season, it's not uncommon for our trucks to have 50 stops in one day, whether it be service stops or rentals, drop-offs and pickups. We're booking. For us to have to regulate where we have a permit and where we don't, as opposed to a fixed permit, is virtually impossible for us. We have maintained an off-island presence ever since we gave up the 333 Park Island residents, which Gasparilla Adventures is now in. We strictly deliver to residents and pick up from residents. Most cases, we do not interact with the homeowner. We have people that have been renting from us for decades. We know where we're going, we know what we have to do, we drop off, we pick up. It's not even arm's length, it's how are you doing, goodbye, whether by email or the phone. We definitely would like some clarity on permitting for longer term rentals, if not permanent permitting for the rentals. Again, we do not do day trip or hourly rentals. We have a weekly minimum, and upwards of 80% of our business is directly with homeowners, residents of the island that are seasonal, that don't want to own, or are seasonal and have an influx of family for the holidays, and they'll pick up 2 or 3 or 4 extra cars for family members. We would just like some guidance before it's mandated, so one, we have time to adjust, and two, we understand what we're allowed and disallowed to do. Okay, thank you.
Hi, my name is Nikki Davis, and I'm here to talk about seasonality. So, as you all know, I'm not a big speech giver, so be nice. I got you, girl. So, regarding seasonality, as I have emphasized previously, business is already down, as it is for many businesses on the island. To remain competitive, we have made significant efforts to attract customers, including promoting new products and sales through our Facebook page. We've displayed merchandise outside to increase visibility and carefully selected merchandise that we feel will appeal to both residents and visitors. We have worked hard to adapt and sustain our business under current situations. With that in mind, I have several questions regarding recent parking changes. First, who made the decision on behalf of the business community to implement the 3-hour parking restrictions, and why were local businesses not included in this process? This is a business district, not a private residential street. Because these changes directly affect our customers and our livelihoods, it is difficult to understand why business owners were not consulted before a significant decision was made. Second, now that the public parking is limited to portions of Railroad and, of course, the state parks, was the parking intended to be open to the public in front of Pink Pony, or are those parking restrictions in front of there actually supposed to be there? I have customers asking.
Just to clarify, I think I know what you're speaking to, but can you say which agenda item you're speaking to?
I had said seasonality.
Oh, you did, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Missed it.
yeah. Okay, use, okay. Third, has the committee considered installing clear public parking signs? Many visitors remain uncertain about where they can legally park and may avoid shopping at local businesses for fear of receiving a ticket. Improved signage could reduce confusion and encourage patronage of local establishments, which I had somebody come up to me yesterday, a customer. Most importantly, I would appreciate an explanation on how these parking changes are expected to help businesses survive and succeed. This again is our livelihood. The committee was asked to provide studies demonstrating, yet to my knowledge, no supporting study has been presented. Regardless of whether such study exists, business owners are sharing firsthand experiences that should be taken seriously. The decision being made today will have lasting consequences. If businesses continue to struggle, some will inevitably leave the island. If that occurs, what will be the long-term impact on the island's economy, character, and appeal to the visitors? Additionally, according to the Fugate store owners, if Fugate trends continue, we do project a decline of approximately about 20% by year end as a moderate estimate. We are only requesting seasonal adjustments for 2 months of the year. I ask that we try this approach for a couple of seasons and evaluate the results after each one. To properly assess a hypothesis, more than one trial is necessary.
Your time is up.
Thank you. That was the end.
I'm here, Gina Beaumont with Sunsets of Boca Grande, also a resident of the island. I'm here to talk about seasonality as well. If you look down the streets today, it's the middle of June. There's nobody on the island shopping or eating at restaurants. I'm fearful of what July, August, September, October, till Thanksgiving is gonna be like. I have a business that will not remain intact if some relief is not given, so I hope you consider that.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Chris Kenan, I'm an island resident. Quick comments on 2 of the agenda items. First of all, on the seasonality. I'm fully supportive of our local businesses and hope that we can do everything possible to see them thrive. Business is a business, however, and some do better than others, and some do better in some years and worse in other years. So I don't know why some are down and others are up. Garland wrote an article last week in the Beacon that suggested that it's a mixed bag. With respect to relief on the seasonality, I find it puzzling, hard to comprehend how we could be talking about changing something that's not even in effect yet. As far as I know, the 3-hour parking limit in town has not been enforced. I could be wrong on that, but to my knowledge, it's not in effect. So I don't know how we could be talking about something that's not even in place yet. Just a question. And I agree with the comments that were made just a moment ago about let's have a hypothesis and test it over a period of time. We need to test this in season, off season, probably for a couple of seasons. I don't think we have any idea what's impacting businesses, much less that it's specifically parking. That's it for that topic. On the topic of golf carts, I rented overflow golf carts from 2 different companies in town this year. One company issued me a guest pass on the golf cart without me asking for it. Great, easy. The other one went to great lengths to explain to me that there was this parking situation. I said, don't worry, I know all about it. They did not have a guest pass to issue. I found it interesting that one had passes to issue seemingly on every one of their carts, and the other had none. Just my own personal experience to share. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Hi, I'm Brooke Sparks. I am an employee out here. This is how I make my livelihood. I'm a mother of 2. Boca Grande's a beautiful place. I love it, but let's just get to some statistics because you guys
Before you
don't.
do, which agenda item are you speaking to?
The parking, the seasonal parking.
Season, thank you.
So I do want to, and I apologize because I have lost my place. I know I'm getting timed. I do have some stats for you guys. So Anna Maria Island, which is very local to us, did the exact same thing that we have done here. And within 18 months, 30% of their businesses reported parking as a direct cost or cause of revenue, right? Nantucket saw retail sales drop 8% just from reducing parking availability. This is not an option. For somebody like me, when we have September and August come around, hours get cut, shifts get cut. This is my viability. I am not a trust fund baby. I'm a working mom, okay? I think that you guys need to do a study during our slowest months and sit down as a group, as a whole, and have a real discussion about what's going on. Because this is my livelihood. And that's about it. I was trying to keep it nice and short for you guys.
Thank you. Other comments? Okay. That's the end of public comment on agenda items then. Next, we get to have board members present, and so we can discuss each of the agenda items. And this is phrased, Joe, presentation of agenda items, but I'm assuming if somebody like Mark with respect to education has something to report out because he's kind of taking that assignment, great, but then we discuss education before moving on as opposed to
This is basically opening up
Yeah,
discussion.
discussion amongst board members on each of these topics. So we're starting, with a discussion on education and signage.
Yes, so did everyone receive the email that was forwarded through Nathan? So I thought it would be good to start out the discussion with trying to establish some ideas for a framework, what we may establish for goals. We hear the comments, and behind every one of those comments was the confusion that people are experiencing in the public. I think there's ways to make maybe the ordinance not so ominous and create a format where it can be disseminated to the public. I think we'll always be against, social media and comments that might be contrary to whatever it is. But I think if we can raise this level to some extent, that, you're gonna have maybe 80% of the people comply, you're probably gonna have 20% and maybe never will. At least we can make some progress. So, I really leave it up to people to add in or their own interpretation. I didn't wanna say, here it is. So I just wanted to put some basic ideas out to start the conversation and see if we can start to shape something here. So, does everyone follow what I'm saying, though, or would like to be and are really counting on everyone's comments and input for that?
I don't have a comment, I have a question. Okay, so if we wanted to take a comment about the ADA, and then that would kind of fit into the signage and stuff, and I'm unclear as to what the law says we have to do, and were you referring to having the ADA signage so people could park on the public accesses to the beach? I was assuming that, but I just want a clarification if that's what you were talking about, and how do we go about making that happen? Do we need to make that happen? That's the question I have.
Sure. And I think, Michael Jacob had addressed this in the first meeting, I was at maybe the second. I mean, this is, this ordinance is not an ADA issue. The ADA issue is something that the county deals with. We have a department that looks at it. We have attorneys in our office that look at those issues. That's not within the purview of this committee. It's not an ordinance issue.
Just another, observation. And some of you know this issue is dear to my heart. That my wife was on a board for New York State, trying to get more rights for handicap parking, so, and exemptions. But what I would say is that the law is what it is, and it's up to the attorneys to figure that out, rather than us to debate it. Two, at least in New York State, the way they handled education was people who were given the permits learned that the permit exempted them from tickets in certain zones and areas, and based on the criteria that's in the state law. They didn't go around and put up exemption signs for ADA on every sign around town. If you had a, you've got a permit, you know it. That's point one. Point two, I know in Florida, and it was true in New York too, the handicap placard may only be used when the handicapped individual is present. And there is a blight in Florida and other states of people using vehicles with handicap placards who were not the subject, not the recipient of the placard. The fines for that are severe if caught, okay? And I know there's a lot of games being played all over Florida, because a lot of times my wife can't get parking because of that. So I just point out that this is not a simple matter, but it's in any case not our matter.
Excuse me, since I was invoked, I'd like to respond to that.
Yeah.
I don't think we should spend time with speculation of what people do, what they don't do, what their education is, what there isn't. My discourse on what I asked this committee to do was to promote, people don't know that they have this right. They think it's all or nothing. There's no way that you're gonna park on the streets. And initially, the sheriff's office was ticketing. They ticketed a couple of cars.
Yeah.
With those. So,
Okay.
So it's education, that's all.
Thank you. I'm being reminded by my advisor here that there'll be another comment,
Okay, got
opportunity
it,
for
sorry.
public comment at the end, but we shouldn't engage in back and forth. Please.
So maybe I'm missing something because to me, the issue is there's a misunderstanding about what supersedes what. So is it the state county ADA or is it this, right? So if that's not within our purview and they don't know it, so it may not be in our purview. However, I think it's in our best interest, instead of looking like we're passing the buck, as a committee to vote in terms of supporting that there be clarity as soon as possible. I would love to see that, but we are saying, we may not be able to vote on this for making it happen, but we are very much behind supporting the actual facts of what is correct for parking in ADA. So that would be my suggestion.
I would just make one other observation, and, yes, everybody obviously support ADA, and this is not within the purview of this, ordinance. But as I understand it from reading that ordinance 316/1964, just disallows, any municipality from charging a fee for parking for people with, handicap flaggers.
That is our office's
Yeah.
position on this.
Not that they can park anywhere, but that they cannot charge a fee, or something like that.
Right.
I think what would be productive to do with this part of the conversation is, Joe, if you could just state for everybody, because I believe you've looked at it, what the position of the county is currently, so that can be clear.
That is correct, there's a statute that addresses it, it's very clear, there's case law that is under this statute, it talks about the county charging, if the county were to have a parking garage and charge for parking, that's when this comes into play.
Yeah.
That's not the case that we're dealing with, that's not what the ordinance does, and that's why this isn't within the purview of this ordinance.
So does that mean that they can have a sticker, but we don't have to honor it? If we don't charge for it?
If they have a sticker, they can park in a designated handicap parking spot on island.
Only in the designated handicap spot?
Right.
Forgive me, but to be clear, they can park anywhere where there's legal parking based on
Right.
whatever permit status they have, other than the handicap permit. But the handicap permit does not give them the right to park where other people aren't allowed to park, other than a designated handicap space. But if a street is no access,
Are we
it doesn't.
required to provide those parking spots for handicapped people? I know I am
Generally,
on
under
my property.
ADA, the county is responsible to administer that, and there's a department that looks at that, our office looks at it, but it's not under this ordinance, and it's not under this committee.
Well, this is, you're educating me on this.
Right, so our scheme, our ordinance.
That's why I'm asking questions.
Right, we don't, there are no fees involved in the parking that's regulated by the ordinance, so the statute that's brought up does not apply.
Okay.
As the chairman indicated, obviously, you know, within the bounds of the ordinance, you know, they can, handicap folk can park wherever anybody else can in those zones.
I know it's not really relevant, but none of those, neighborhood side streets are ADA compliant to access the beach regardless. And I agree, I don't really, to me, if there's an issue, somebody needs to take it up to the county, in my view.
I'd like to make a motion then that we bring the conversation to an end, since it's not really our, does everyone agree?
On this, but I think we're still,
Right,
Mark
we're still
still has the
talking about
floor.
it.
Oh, yes, I'm talking about on handicap. Okay.
I did have some conversations with the sheriff's department representative, and we had a conversation about from a structural standpoint, their work with the DOT has been an ongoing issue. And I noticed some signs go up. Was that on your street, Sue? I didn't get to look at those. They put some on the side there on First Street this week.
Right next to the sidewalk.
Yes.
So people looking at the sidewalk would see.
Yeah, so they're making adjustments as we go. So that's a continual tweak that, from a structural standpoint, I think the sheriff's department and DOT are doing what they need to do. So ours really is more communication type of thing. If there were a recommendation, I think the public doesn't realize the severity of the ticket. And so if there was any addition to signage, it might be, fine $200, not that you'd say really, but, to let them know, because some people are used to parking and say, well, $35 I'll pay.
No, because I work on the island and I tell everybody, if you park on a street where it says permit, because you have a pass, not a permit, I tell all of them it is $270. It's a $200 plus
Yes.
ticket.
Yes, but a lot of
they're
people,
educated.
general people don't know that. It's just a recommendation for signage for DOT.
I think
is-
clarity
Again, I have
is
to
better
ask
for
that,
everybody.
please, this is not the time for public comment, we'll do public comment again.
We could use stickers, right? We could use stickers
Well,
on
that-
every sign or whatever, is that what you're
Well, I
talking
think
about?
just stated it,
And then they have zones.
I don't know that we can correct DOT, but
Please.
DOT is already aware and received that comment, so I don't know if the action required, but it's just part of their duty.
There is an option where we could add a sticker to the sign to add details. I would say there are standards for character, height, and things. There are standards for how the signs are created. And so there's limited space. So if you're gonna add a lot of text, there won't be room on the existing sign to do that. The other option we have is to add a plaque underneath, which would, give us a little bit more space. But, that is also a little bit more effort, cause then we have to have those plaques made. Stickers, we can more easily print up and add to signs.
And just to be clear, what is the message?
The message would be one line. It would say, fine, the $275 or whatever the total fee would be.
It's $200 plus processing.
Yeah.
Plus a fee, plus a processing fee, right? There's two additional fees on top of
$200
the
fine
210.
plus processing. Something that's
Maybe just a few signs that just say that, parking restrictions in effect, fines 200 plus processing.
something of that.
It gets to be too many letters on the sign. What we have
But I'm
done.
saying couple of separate signs, so people can.
Even, they don't get read. They're gonna have to be big enough that somebody coming onto the island can see them. And it's not a small 18 by a 12 by 18 sign. You can't read it.
Yeah, that's too many words to read while you're
But
driving.
for
It's
example,
not a
on,
drive-by, but if you park and you look, you would see it.
but
kind of thing.
for example, on the no dumping signs, we've been asked to, and the fines can be up to 500. So what we put underneath was up to 500. That's all it says. But that's the extra plaque because it's short.
That catches their eye.
And can be there, and yes, it depends on what the tonnage of what was thrown out and all that kind of stuff. But the maximum fine is 500. So again, if you're sitting here saying, hey, we wanna do something, we could certainly consider it. How and where, and there's a hell of a lot of signs to put up a plaque under. I mean, we can.
Perhaps we should.
What I would say, just from experience in other places, is that the plaque underneath with appropriate sized letters saying the amount of the fine is highly effective. People see that. Go ahead, please, I'm sorry.
So I have a question on our documentation that Mark sent us. He talks about breaking down specific zones. So just a thought I have, like, Gilchrist is different than downtown, which is different than Gulf, which is different than Gasparilla, which is different than the Dan Streets, right? So whatever kind of documentation that we're considering coming up with, Mark stores have the little boxes underneath there for
QR
sale.
code.
Yeah, well, but they also have little boxes that they have pamphlets in them, right? I mean, you have a little plastic thingy and they have little, so whatever it is that we do, perhaps we should consider some of that in the different zones, because the rules are different.
Cheryl, I'm having trouble hearing you, cause you're facing that way and
Okay.
Your
Are we
voice is just a
will we
little
have
lower, I'm hard to hear.
microphones next time? Will we?
We're told no, but we're gonna see
We'll
whether there's
look into
budget
it, but
for
we're
it
told
somewhere.
it's not an option in this room.
Okay, maybe we could just have one of the ones that we pass around, like a little box or something. So my thought was, in Mark's email that we got from Nathan, he talks about breaking down specific zones. So the rules are different in all the different zones, right? So whatever we do, we should consider, it can't just be one blanket statement, because if you're going out, like, let's just use 4th Street as an example. If you go from Park towards Gilchrist, just after the bakery, it changes from 3 hours to parking permit only. So you have that on 4th Street, 3rd Street, and all that. So it's like, whatever information that we're trying to disseminate, I think we have to be creative and not just a QR code, because many times you don't necessarily have phone access out here, as we all know, and not just in storms. But, so I think we need to be mindful that the rules are different in different spots too.
I think we need to have some sort of graphic, you know, maybe some version of this that could be handed out to people. I mean, once this is, maybe it could be made clearer, but, you know, there are lots of different ways to disseminate it, but people are confused, and I think that's the root of a lot of the problems we're having.
So it'll take us all a while, those of us who live here a lot. I still am like, oh, I don't even know which, because it can split in the street. But then you look at what's the best distribution, where are people getting their information from? So education, so I look at the realtors, golf carts, the inn, certain stores, you have them there. To me, that makes some sense. So for instance, if we were to say that all the golf cart places can distribute, could we then say, print up what Barbara was talking about, so that every single person gets that education? Because over time, people will get it, but to Mark's point, there's gonna be the 20% that are never gonna do it anyway, but at least we can get 80%.
Right.
So, and the churches, so you think of the masses, and I think that, you know, the realtors are already distributing this. So, and then you've got this,
Which is handed out if you ask for it at the bridge.
right, but so they're just, I think that makes some sense for education, is we've already got these wonderful things in place. So why wouldn't we, if we decide, especially the golf carts, look at how many, I have a lot of golf carts, so it's down.
120.
They're a lot, so that makes sense, that's just kind of a broad brush, I bet.
And they can go to PO boxes too, off-island PO boxes, and here, you know, there's
We
a
have
way
a
to.
lot of people
Well,
that
excuse
rent
me,
golf
this
carts.
is between board members, I'm sorry, but if I don't enforce that uniformly, it doesn't work. I have one thing to add, which I love both the idea of being very specific about the way different zones work, but I like even more the notion of not only targeting the distribution, but targeting the message to the different classes of people. So there'd be one that homeowners could have to explain to them and their house guests what things are. There could be one that shop owners could have for daily visitors. So daily visitors, whether they're going to a shop or the restaurant or the beach, are sort of a category. That could be online. Sanibel has it online, okay? So that could be not only online, but also something made available to restaurants and shops, so that people coming for the day can figure out, can know clearly what's allowed. It could also be in the visitor guide. But think through different, because it's too complicated in any town to understand every aspect of whatever the street ordinances are. But to understand what people care about is what can they do? And so I think we need to think through the different audiences and have something simple, that stored them, includes graphics, the general principle, the graphics make it clear as to where it applies, and then they know what they got. And then we figure out the right channels for those different things.
Handout and online. I think in the beginning, it's
Online.
gonna take a lot, we're gonna have to really.
And you only need
Hard.
online for the day visitors,
Yeah.
because the hotel guests, hotels can communicate, rental companies can communicate, the different other audiences are, so we don't confuse the world with 5 different versions. Everybody gets what's relevant to them.
I would also posit that, just the observation of the decrease in parking on many of the numbered streets and the side streets is, we can work around the edges, but I would posit that a great number of people have already gotten the message and have a basic understanding of what the plan is. I'm not saying, particularly for newer visitors, and I think it's, probably more relevant in the business district, because people think, well, if it's not enforced in the business district, I can just go park there for 8 hours and walk 2 blocks to the beach. But I think by and large, a good number of people have received the message and understand it.
If I could, I would like to say, I encounter a number of people just walking around who, they know they've arrived, they know there are parking restrictions, and they want to know where can they park. So it may not be evident to the visitors, especially new visitors, offhand, over here is okay and over here is not. You can see individual signs and say, well, you can do it here or not, but then, well, where do I go?
They know where they can't, but they don't know where they can.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah, where are the public beach parking lots? I mean, I think that would be great to have something that could be, if you're arriving on Boca Grande and you ask for the visitor, I know there's somebody who said we couldn't hand anything out at the bridge, but this gets handed out at the bridge, and if this has it updated next, year, there it is. And, a sign could be just to ask for it, or that's something that could be sent out into every post office box.
And be put online.
Yes, and online too, for sure. We just need to kind of blanket it at the beginning, get it out there.
I agree, simple color coded, it's not that
They
complicated.
don't know. I'm happy to answer questions if I want to, but a lot of people, they don't know where the parking lots are, and they see the 5th Street and they go there, and then they're like, well, we can't get on, where do I go? I mean, that's like the first one they see, so people go there. But they don't even realize that the lighthouse.
Like this
parking
color
lot's
coded
down
map
there.
that actually is on the
Yeah.
county website
Yeah.
is pretty good, isn't it? Don't you guys think? Like,
Yeah.
Maybe we
I mean, it's a good
disseminate
start
that.
for sure. Visually, I mean, makes it easier for me than just read through.
Okay, Nikki just politely raised her hand, so let's let Nikki
I do
speak.
like Cheryl's idea with the waterproof box, like the realtors have. I'm not sure, are we legally allowed to put boxes like that on the signs, just so it's right there, and if they're confused, they can go right there to the box?
Generally, we don't put other things on our signs.
Okay.
The other point on that would be, like, we don't have staff up here that could keep the boxes full.
Oh, yeah, true.
So that's, a factor.
The chamber might, or somebody else. We can
Somebody
volunteer.
else, but yeah, I think that having them on the signs generally is not something we would allow.
I've never seen it before, but I do think that'd be a good idea for, just so people were confused as they're parking, there's something right then and there that they can grab if they don't think to ask for a visitor's guide.
Right, or
But
they got it in their PO box, or I think we just have to try everything to get it into people's hands at the beginning, and then once people have it, they can say, oh, I got it at, Pink Pony has it stacked, or wherever they have free place.
Well, and like you
once it
said,
gets
I
out
think
there.
having the different categories is a great
Yeah.
idea, so, you're not handing out more information than what's needed. And utilizing the chamber office, even if somebody's in there or not, having like a box, a waterproof box there's your parking info. Or on our website, we could have it just generally on there for info.
I just wanna intervene with one thing. I wanna thank the board members for speaking one person at a time. Much more productive, let's keep it up. Mark?
So part of the conversation with enforcement, when you kind of understand the process, it helps you bring your thoughts together as well. So if, for instance, there's a vehicle that is suspected that it's not in compliance, The officer will take a photograph to document whether there's a sticker or not. They will, or they ticket, will switch their body cam on and go through that process to identify that. And when that violation is sent in, it already has all the supporting information. The other wild card we talked about is if someone decides that they were unfairly ticketed and they wanna go before the judge, well, that is a total wild card. There was an instance we read in the paper about people being discharged, that was pre-trial, that didn't even, so you don't know the judge had a bad cup of coffee, it's almost that random, with that, but at least you get some idea when thinking that, well, if some people got off, does that mean it sort of deteriorate the whole effectiveness of enforcement? And that answer is no, it's not. What you should have had conversation as well. Yeah, to help correct your
May
thinking.
I ask why wouldn't that be the case? Cause I was gonna ask that question, I read that same thing and they were just expunged and there's one person and everybody. There has to be a reason, right? So within that judgment, I would assume, Joe, somebody would know that, but more importantly, does it set that precedent? I don't presume to know any of this stuff, but that was a lot in one kind of day for them to say no to, and I don't know the reason behind that.
I don't know the reason either. We don't enforce this, the sheriff's office enforces this. It could have been something as simple as, the sheriff deputy didn't show up to defend it, to address it, and it was dismissed. I don't know what happened.
That's what happens. I know that the representative of the sheriff's office is not there, the ticket's immediately waived.
But the thing is that that's great that we heard of that, but how can we actually know the why? Because if that's the case, then we know, they can report that the person didn't show up. But if if they use the legal reason, then the judge must have said something, just literally just dismissed it.
Yeah, there was none, yeah,
No.
it was pre-trial, no.
Maybe the judge had a heart.
No, I mean, but wouldn't it reflect that the policeman wasn't there? The sheriff wasn't there? To me, it feels a little, if I get a ticket, trust me, I'm gonna look at that case and say, well, they didn't, why would I? So. should I
Again,
find-
that's the sheriff's office.
So we have to.
So is there anybody from the sheriff's office here? I will take it upon myself to make a request of the sheriff's office and legal to together decide who's gonna get us an answer, but that they get us an answer as to what happened.
I'm pretty sure it was a legal reason and not just a dismissal because the prosecution wasn't there. Because they had one person, the first person who went, and then he asked if all of the other people were there for the exact same reason. And that's why they were all tossed out.
Okay, Kimberly, that wasn't heard by some people down here. Do you mind if I paraphrase, or do you wanna speak up?
No, you can paraphrase.
I think what Kimberly said, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that that it's likely a legal reason, because the judge dismissed them all. Is that?
Yeah, he dismissed one, and then he asked if the others were there for the same reason, and then dismissed the rest of them. If it had just been a missing prosecutor, he would have dismissed them all at the beginning.
But if no one from the sheriff's office is there, he would dismiss them all. Or she would dismiss, whichever the case may be. So, we need to know.
It was a Zoom call, right? Like, it wasn't even in person, it was an online situation. This person, I think, was back even in Canada or something like that. I can't remember the details.
Again, that's gonna have to be tracked down through the sheriff's office.
I will make a request. Yeah, I'm sorry, I was taking notes, please.
This may be totally off the law, but I know we need to educate about the different zones, and we have had some great reasons or great suggestions to do it. I think inserts where they blow up certain parts are very, very helpful. Plus, I'm wondering if they ever considered color coding some of the signs. So So if it's the downtown or business area, it is a blue sign. Or especially in the areas where they change, assignments of the area, like.
If I may, sorry, the color matters in order for the sign to be enforceable. There are federal standards for the color of signs. Enforceable signs have to be white background with either black or red lettering.
Okay. Thanks.
I guess the coding could be on the information that is shared to try to make it easy for, almost suggestive, but when they look at, yeah, a blow up, and if it can be color coded maybe in their own mind, because that hopefully would be driving their information, because people don't necessarily read signs, you know, so we're just trying to come up with another alternative there.
I have a comment to try to make both of you happy. So, because you have the different color coded sounds, so you have to make the sign a certain color, which you could put blue zone, yellow zone, write out blue zone, yellow zone, so that way it would be, so you know when you see the map that it's your blue zone or yellow zone, whatever zone, you know, that might.
Well, and it kind of, the map is done that way, right? Like I've.
Yeah, so the sign would say blue zone, so you know you're in the blue zone, or you're in the yellow, or whatever zone, you know.
So you would
That
need
might-
both together, because if the color, or putting those type of signs on the post would not make any sense at all if we didn't show what the color codes were. But I think it's an additional, like, not warning, but an additional piece of information that says you're in a blue zone now. And if people know that blue zone is the business district, then they have some idea or another clue that this is a particular place where they can park for 3 hours.
Again, sorry if I may, there's pretty much only two signs that are there now, either 3-hour parking or permit parking. The zones, I know there's zones outlined in the ordinance, but the signs don't actually change regardless of the zone. It's either 3-hour or permit. And then the permit, because basically the ordinance, if it's a permit parking, it's all the permits. There's not only certain permits that are allowed in certain zones. So I don't know how effective it would really be to convolute it with colors, because it's already just 2 options.
Just with all respect, there is one exception to what you're saying. Excuse me, which is the employees have the right to exceed the 3-hour parking.
Yeah, well, any
The
permit,
rest of
anybody
us-
with a permit can exceed the 3 hours.
I don't believe that's the case.
If I'm
We'll have to get
recalling
that
the
verified.
language.
We'll look into that.
So,
Yes.
okay, so on education, so Mark is the leader of the education group. Because the rest of us, because we can't have conversations about the ordinance not in here,
How do we work
should
on
we
it?
give him can we figure out how to get Mark a committee or something, not on this committee, get him some sort of committee to help him come up with some stuff?
Well, can we communicate through Nathan, but it has to be directed to Nathan?
It can be
Is that the
reported.
Let me ask a procedural question, because I know that I belonged on other committees elsewhere, not here, but where they were allowed to form a subcommittee. Are they allowed to form a subcommittee to create whatever they're creating and bring it back to this committee, and that group can talk to each other?
Potentially, as long as there wasn't more than one person from this committee on that subcommittee. I've never seen that before, but.
I think the rules would
It's a
apply to
different
the
group.
subcommittee too,
Two,
which means it has to be a public
To
forum.
the previous question, we can't have you sending something to Nathan and then Nathan distribute it and then somebody else responds to just Nathan and then it's distributed. It's kind of, under the sunshine law, you have to communicate in this setting, and.
So, but
That'd
to
be a
follow
slow
up on the
process.
idea.
Yeah, how do we move forward?
Excuse me,
It's in
to follow
drafts.
up on the idea that Cheryl had, Mark, I thought we had meant to say in the last meeting, or at least I did, that you should feel free to form a subcommittee that would include shop owners, someone from a golf cart, whoever you think is relevant, to come up with some materials. I would hope there would be somebody from DOT or the appropriate county staff who could work with you, assist, and also someone in the county help produce materials that are clear and professional, et cetera, so that you're not trying to use Photoshop or whatever current programs are.
None of us can be on that committee.
None of us can be on, but Mark can form a committee. We'd like to know who's on it.
It's just for communication.
Education.
Education.
Yes, this is on education,
Yeah.
yes.
And
this
that
is
would be a
going-
subcommittee, correct?
It would be a subcommittee of this committee. So is that, I think that is legal, right? Because there's only, Mark's the only one from this committee on it.
Certainly, if one committee member wanted to go out and discuss some of these ideas with people who are not on the committee, that does not violate the sunshine law.
And so, Mark, have you formed a committee? Unfortunately, it's not already formed, so you could let us know today, but if you form a committee and go to work on this, I think, Nathan perhaps, or Jillian, you tell me.
I would
who from the
coordinate with
county would
Nathan.
assess.
Could we then, at least while we're in a sunshine situation, give Mark some suggestions, because to me, it
Exactly.
really needs
That's
to
the
be.
exercise we're doing today.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
It needs to actually be, the
Exactly.
suggestion should be, have business people, or whatever it is, it has to be a committee that actually makes sense.
Yep.
Frankly, Mark doesn't even need a committee, he can just go out and do this, and talk to whomever he wants, as long as it's not one of us.
Yeah, unless
Come
you
back
want
to
to.
us.
Yeah,
You don't have to
it doesn't
make
have to be a
it, you know.
formal committee.
Yeah, you can.
As long as he
I
can
think I
talk
know
to
that.
You wanna put extra work on
Yeah.
it.
Whatever
feel
gets the
free to do
job
whatever.
done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so just give me more ideas.
Yeah.
To build these notes, and then when we can bring it
Back and
closer.
say, how's that look?
And then what's the deadline for producing this for 27?
We go to,
2027?
we go to press in September for the visitor's guide, and we'll go to press in November for the map.
So that's the deadline.
Right.
Like, we gotta have it.
Can you give me the date again for the deadline?
September for the visitor's guide, and November for the map.
So practically, unless we're meeting in August or September, which my understanding from the last discussion was the expectation was the next meeting's October. We can be in the map, but not the visitor's guide, but the map could be an insert to the visitor's guide. In other words, when you hand out the visitor's guide, it could have a map in it.
It is, right now,
Well,
that's how it
they
happens
are
at the bridge.
companions.
Yeah,
Now,
exactly.
they're kind of companions, and all of the golf cart rental places, everybody has those. The reality of the map is a smaller product, right? So you can get more information in your visitor's guide than the map really, because it is sort of what it is. It can only have words and stuff anyways, so,
Maybe a QR code to something else, just so it can have something bigger than this
Or we could do our own flyer and insert it by the time we distribute it, correct?
into this, but.
Couldn't we? Or could we, no, if nothing else, if we had our own insert, we could put an insert in the visitor's guide. We wouldn't have to wait for print, we would do our own printing of a map, correct? Couldn't that, am I missing something
I
here?
don't know. Say it
So
a
if you're
different
doing
way.
this in September, the visitor's guide, and we meet in October, and Mark's knocked it out of the park, we say that's the perfect signage, et cetera, that makes total sense, his group does. We could insert it just in there as a flyer, a loose flyer, couldn't we?
Or could we approve anything on email over the summer?
I mean, well, and that's
Draft
it,
that
right?
sent around?
Do we have to vote on education? I mean, this is education, right? Is that a voting?
It's a discussion.
Right, but I mean, I'm asking, does the committee have to vote on the education materials that we upload?
It's something that you could foreseeably be taking votes on, so my caution would be to not have any sort of discussion about it with each other outside of this.
Oh, yeah, but I was just thinking in terms of timing, like our meeting's not
Yeah.
until October, so I was thinking about getting something done.
If there was something earlier,
before.
Nathan sent it around to us.
Right.
And we all answer back saying, looks good.
Just a clarification though, I think, isn't this committee just to make recommendations to the Board of Commissioners for any changes in the ordinance? Anything like that can be done by the community, but we're not really here to.
our mandate goes a
It would
little
be a
further than that.
recommendation
It
from the
includes
county to help
education.
publicize it.
No, our mandate includes education.
Okay.
Comments, you know, because what we're talking about is gonna be very fluid, things could change,
Right.
and you do all this printing and stuff, so you could have in your visitor's guide a QR code that leads to the ordinance, and so as things possibly change,
Exactly.
that's all updated, we're not going back to the printer. and-
100%.
Yeah.
We could be
Okay.
much more vague, right, because we have a section on parking now, so we could be much more vague, list a few things, if we have our own QR code or whatever, the parking, Lee County DOT, whatever has a website, and which I think we put the website in last year, cause we may not have had all the details even by the time we went to press.
Okay. Bart and then Rich.
Alright, how about if Mark works with the chamber and comes up with some kind of proposal for what would be good, and then by the time we have the next meeting, they could have it ready. Does that make any sense? Make any sense to chamber?
Yeah, we're talking, we're not talking about education.
Well, Rich was like.
Okay, maybe something actionable, you know, we're not gonna meet until October, they need to have it before. The map's not that complicated, it's just color coded. You know, maybe the chamber can make some recommendations to, the Beacon on how to lay it out properly.
Fit
But
it
I don't
in
think,
here,
I don't think this committee needs to vote exactly on what this map, it's already there. Let's just get it in the, visitors magazine.
Yeah,
That's a
vote.
huge step
Yeah, it
forward.
should be a
Yeah.
vote.
And
We don't need a micromanaged map.
you wanna make a motion to that effect?
I would like to make a motion that we ask, and Cheryl, I think you kind of speak for the Beacon, I would assume, that we ask the Beacon to please, submit, a map with inserts that identify the parking, where people can park legally, and if the chamber has some comments, Gary, I'm sure you'd wanna give them, to the Beacon before it's published, so we can make it as clear as possible, and we let it go. I don't think we can micromanage it.
Can I make a request that the, whatever is proposed be reviewed by Lee County Legal before it goes out?
Well, it's already Lee County legal, right, like, I mean, we're just
Yeah, this
talking about
map
the
is-
map, it's already there.
This is where,
So
yeah.
you're talking about printing exactly what's there?
Listen, maybe there could be some improvements.
Even if,
Okay,
you-
that's my
even if you
point.
do
Some
blow-ups,
language,
the
yeah.
information, as long as you don't physically change the information that's on that map.
Yeah.
And there is already a blow up included in the ordinance, the downtown area, and the whole island and then the downtown
Yeah.
area is blown up.
I think Rich made a motion.
I
Yes.
seconded it.
Second, discussion. Thank you.
I second heartily what Rich said, there's no reason to really complicate this, it ain't that, yeah.
If I can make a suggestion, we can generate a QR code that will direct people to the parking committee website. And then we can, you know, if you have a flyer or something that gets created at some point, we can always have a link to that on the parking committee website, the Lee County Parking Committee website.
Yeah.
Cause the
Okay.
website can be updated whenever, there's no print, you know, printing
So
time
that's-
or anything like that.
I'm gonna ask, you can't make it, I will make a question. Rich, will you accept as a friendly amendment that there be a QR code to our website also included?
I would accept that.
All right,
Then yes, and I accept.
yes,
the
all right.
amendment.
So with that, is there any further discussion before we vote? Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion carries clearly.
And I'd like to thank Mark for all his work.
Yes. And I would also just, you know, we can continue, we don't need to discuss the topics, but I just want to point out that we can continue to think about whether there are handouts that are appropriate in addition to this for the different,
And how they get distributed.
and I would encourage Mark to work on that, the other ideas that were brought here, and try and distill them down and come back to us with something actionable. Work with the chamber and anybody else you deem appropriate to do it, but you heard a bunch of ideas, let's not let them all go by the wayside.
Thank you for your input.
I would ask, on behalf of the committee, the chamber, try to work with some sort of a color-coded map that we could have available in our various.
And just so, cause everybody's understands, the chamber, just so you know, we're working on our page, there's gonna be a tab for parking that we're breaking down where parking downtown, the restrictions there, and then State Park, and just kinda give some brief information on that.
That would be
So that'll
fantastic.
be coming up on our website again in the next week or two.
And have it in our businesses and our establishments, nice
Stand
little
it out
easy.
too.
Yeah.
I think it would really be helpful. Thanks, Gary.
All right. All done on education?
I
Yes.
have one more thing. In Mark's email, he mentioned holding like an educational program or a seminar or something of that nature. Is that something we have discussed at all? Is just hosting something community-wide, like maybe
Well,
at the beginning of next
I
season?
wanted to state that we have the ability to do that. I think once as this thing continues to move down, we may find that we wanna do that.
We can announce it.
It's part of this, group to say, hey, we should do that, or someone make a motion about that, but that'll come.
I got it clarified.
Yeah, that's a good idea, once we have it in hand.
Okay, the next topic, is the discussion of seasonal relief from the ordinance. Again, I understood the request when we put it on the agenda to be that we distilled it down in our last meeting to seasonal relief on the 3-hour limitation, as opposed to the ordinance broadly. Downtown, yeah. Well, I think wherever the 3-hour limitation applies, which is also the fiscal law. There was a time frame discussed in the last meeting, okay? And there was some debate around the time frame. So we heard from one of the speakers today that they were really just looking for 2 months. I'm not sure that would be uniform from all the shops, but let's kick open the discussion on, seasonal relief.
Having been here for the last several weeks, I have not observed a parking, I recognize some of the state beaches have been full, but I haven't seen a parking shortage in the business district. I mean, I've not observed that. I'm not sure, what are we trying to accomplish by suspending the 3-hour limit?
If it's not being, I don't think it's being enforced, I think some people, there are certain cars that aren't just there for days, in the same exact spot, and I don't think nothing is enforced, so, yeah, you're right, I'm not sure exactly.
Well, isn't the relaxation to give people a little bit of freedom to feel like they don't have as many restrictions? Like, isn't that really the purpose of the relaxation, so that we're giving the business owners like an opportunity to just feel more, I'll use the word welcoming, if you will, without the restrictions in the summertime? I mean, so I don't think, Richard, to your point, I don't think it was about a parking problem and overuse necessarily. That was not what I took from any comment about
So
it.
maybe our neighbors wouldn't hate us
Right.
down here, and hate the business owners too for stuff that they had nothing to do with.
That's just a
maybe
public
send
perception
like,
thing, is all it is. It's not like there's a parking problem
Well,
at this time.
But there are some parking challenges, so you brought up something, thank you for doing that, in April, or end of April, so it's still early April, and I had about 1 week of not sleeping for some reason, so I was up till midnight, and I would be like, I better go walk, and then I would be on my bike at about 5:36 in the morning, which is a sad statement. Having said that.
That is sad.
I'm gonna play at your house next, knocking on the door. But what I noticed was on Railroad, there were 10 to 15 cars every single night and day. They were sometimes almost identical, so I was like, okay, I bet some of them are the firemen, or whatever. That's wonderful, but if people know they're going to be there 24 hours, we have got to make them park somewhere else. There is no reason, so that railroad, I mean, I have documentation, is full. Then you have, I mean, I was surprised.
Where on Railroad?
So it goes from where the, yoga studio is, and then you've got Grand Air. so some of those cars stay there. Then there are a bunch of trucks and some have fire things on them, so you know that's where they are. Having said that, I don't know why they're parking 24 hours, they spend the night, but that's taking up parking spaces and then they're there all day, sometimes the next day. So that's to just past, the hardware store. And I have like so many videos, cause I kept thinking, this just isn't right.
Two points of information if you give me Mark before we go further. One is, the parking on East Railroad between Third and Fifth is not owned, on the west side, which is where all the perpendicular spaces are, is not owned by the county. Those are private spaces owned by the GICIA, and they are the ones who determine who's allowed to park there and when. And I know they have areas that they really are designating for, the fire department. And my understanding is that they're not putting any restrictions on anything else, and may consider it in the future if something turns out to be a
So I get that, but when we look, and our job is to be at the 30,000 foot view.
Right.
And if we're looking at this street, we have to look at all the streets. So if that is one area, you Grand Air by 8 in the morning, they have 10 plus trucks there. That's it. It's not a judgment, we all need them, but it is, we start to, GICA owns it, those are full. Then behind the tent, those are full. It's the same, so you've already gotten rid of those parking spaces. That's just a given. That, we have to look at that. And then, you know, I think the railroad depot, there's some private parking, but Lee County has its signs there. Some people, like me, have been here forever, go, that's not a Lee County parking, but, so there's lots of different things we should look at in totality. And I do think that we are using up, a lot of those spaces are being used up, and if you don't think there's a parking place, anytime there's construction, if you were where we are, and we had the, community center, and we have the health center, and we may have the church, there is no parking. So, there is a parking problem for businesses, because they're being taken up by other things sometimes, so it does, you know, it's,
Yeah.
I personally will just pick up, I own a store. We did 3-hour parking, that was a big thing in the town. It wasn't ideal, the restaurants were the ones that hurt the most, at least, but it's gonna hurt our lunch business. We have to know we're hurting people's lunch business. That is where it hurts. With the stores, I think in our first or second meeting, it was, we haven't heard from enough people. And I believe that was mentioned, I think you mentioned that.
Yeah.
So I would, so, that's not true. So, unfortunately, I have been going to all the Lee County meetings, and I watched the Charlotte County. We had Barbara Ann, Kenan Bistro, Boca Blooms, Kathleen Turner on behalf of her theater, which I think had the building, 3 retailers, you know, the restaurant, and then a whole bunch of other, companies. Sunset, Palm Park, Ariel, Gaspel Adventures, Pink Pony, South Beach, Sisters, Boca Grande Cart Rentals, Few Gates, Smart Studio, Grand Kayak Rentals, Grand Flats, and Capri's now. Who else are we missing? So then I'm like, who are we missing? Well, we're missing a couple of places that the, Gaspel owns their building. They may not wanna speak up. There are some people who haven't spoken up because their buildings are for sale. That is okay, I get that. I get that they may not wanna say sales are down or whatever. We've heard from the majority of people on the island, and they're saying, can you help us? So I look at it and I think, well, what is our responsibility here? I've heard that the gentleman who left, why do it now, we barely put it into place. We did not do a business impact. It was never done. There was no business or parking study done. But you know when you'll see the business impact is when these stores close and the restaurants close. So I don't wanna play with people's livelihoods. I don't wanna play with that young mom who, she goes there every day. I could get someplace, Few Gates hires 8 people. This is their livelihoods. So to me, what is our worst scenario? I'm trying to think, what's the worst case scenario? July, August, September, October 1st. We give it a try. Guess what? In October, we can say, it didn't work. It was pandemonium. We'll never do that again. I like to discipline my children by giving them freedom and then giving them a chance to screw it up. And if they don't screw it up, we give them a little more freedom. I just don't understand why we wouldn't do this. They are all asking for us to do this. It's a little ask.
I have a comment So I heard from the last meeting that we had that you really needed facts, you wanted facts, so I went ahead and I got a list of all the restaurants and stores that were around here, and then we sent a little survey, Lee County Economic Development sent it out. But the questions that they asked, if when I looked at the data, which you should have it in your email box, but anyway, cause I just got it this morning myself. But basically, they asked how business was for every month, and it was for 11 months, cause we didn't have the statistics back for June yet, we're still in June. But, and it asked how your business did this year as compared to last year. Well, that was a good question, but it wasn't a good enough question in that last year, during the season, the year before, I wasn't even open, because I was shut down at Kenan Bistro that whole season. So in some cases, we were down, you can look at them, and then some cases you'll see up. Well, that's because they were comparing it to last year when they were closed. Some businesses were already open, so maybe they had an increase, but what, across the board, everybody was down. Any on the statistics, there were a few months that some people said they were up, and that was because, like I just said. But, and anyway, and it was done by FGCU, and it was just a survey, you answered 2 questions,
What is FGCU?
Florida Gulf Coast University. And, so anyway, so it was like an impartial thing where you just filled out, and it was a very simple thing, you just said, were you down, you just did month by month. And so you'll have it in your inbox, but basically it says, yeah, that was down. And then when they had the thing from, Boca Beacon reported from the bridge, I think, and it said for Memorial Day weekend, the traffic count of the bridge on Memorial Day weekend, so you know that there are, that the plumbers and the electricians and all the contractors that are working on houses and stuff, they're not coming to the island at that particular point. And it was down for, I think it said somewhere like 20% or something. Garland, do you remember what?
I think it was 18. 18. I think it may have been 18.
Yeah, it was a pretty high number, where the other ones, was still down over last year, but that was taking in the whole bridge as a whole, was included all the plumbers and all the electricians and interior designers and everything. So I think it shows that we're down, okay. But, and we had talked about 4 months, which was June, July, August, and September at the last meeting. But the spirit of what would be done would be just showing a spirit of goodwill to the businesses. And I think that you can, we can hang our hat on that one, that would just show goodwill. But that's all I have to say.
Okay, Marcus first.
I was just doing a clarification. The reason you have trucks in front of the fire department is they can control that. If you have to roll an engine out of there and someone is misparked, somebody's got a problem, who's the other side of the response. But that was the logic behind that, but.
So it's inconsistent, there'd be like 3 in front of the yoga place, there'll be 3, and then they're all.
Those are different. Yeah, the fire department, they park right in that strip.
Right.
Between 370 and where you get to Green.
I was just saying what it is, that there are 10, 15 trucks there, and some have fire department, but the rest were.
Yeah, but they're generally right there, but comment about the economic report, or the quarterly report from FGCU. Regionally, sales tax receipts were down 13%. This is for region of Collier, Hardy, Lee, this area. So there's a general downturn, and it's likely from, we're still pulling out of the impact of a major hurricane. Disturbing results are homelessness in Collier County has tripled since the hurricanes. And that's more of a function of people's houses were destroyed, insurance companies weren't doing the right thing, and insurance costs, everything else, and these people literally were forced out of their homes. So we're looking at a regional downturn, and unfortunately, but there's no question that our local businesses are being impacted. We can't deny that, but I don't know that it's squarely on parking that's there.
I would posit as well, it's $4 gas.
Yeah, there's a lot of
It's a regional
state
thing.
And then the sales tax, because we collect a lot of sales tax money that we remit, we're in the rental market, and you have periods. So if someone comes and they're staying 3 months and they came in November, well, those receipts went in November, even though that person was here, for that time period. So there's a lot of variation that just wanted to
Shows.
throw that in there, but.
So to Sandy's point about the bridge numbers, I know one thing we don't necessarily talk about in the meeting are the letters and stuff that we get that come through Nathan. So to recap for the bridge percentages for 2026, January, their monthly change was down 5%, February was down 12%, March was down 8%, April was down 9%. I had reached out to, Kathy at the bridge,
I'm sorry, can you repeat those percentages?
It's in a letter that you have, but.
Right,
Oh, I
so,
got it, okay.
yes.
Then that's fine.
And then I had reached out to her asking, for further information, because I knew we would be meeting, and, she had emailed me back on June the 10th, saying that through June the 9th, traffic was down 2%. So, that just kinda shows you that, and that is vehicles, that's the number of vehicles.
I'd like to just provide a little perspective and comment too, if I may. First, I'd like everyone to take a step back and remember that the purpose of the ordinance was to preserve the character and quality of life on the island in the face of overcrowding that was occurring due to regional growth, okay? So, if traffic is down, that's not necessarily a sign of failure. We wanted to do it, we wanted to protect the businesses to the extent we could in that context, all right? So, Memorial Day is a good example. A couple of years ago, not a hurricane year, the inn typically has rebooking rates of 90% when people depart, all right? Memorial Day a few years back, after we had a particularly bad Memorial Day from the point of view of overcrowding, the rebooking rate was 50% compared to what is normally 90% on that weekend. And they got many angry comments at the front desk when people were checking out, saying they wouldn't be back because this place had gone crazy. The inn is the major driver of business on our island. So I'm personally not upset if Memorial Day bridge traffic is down from prior years, because what was happening, and frankly, still happened this year, is very damaging, okay? This year, I will tell you, as someone who lives on the beach at 4th Street, people were parking in town all day. We had tent against tent against tent, all up and down. We had the overcrowding situation that they were using the area between Fletcher's bushes, I don't know if Bob's still here, and our wall as a bathroom, continuously, all day. People would just go up, go in there, do their business, and go out. The kinds of things that caused us to say we needed to make a change, that were happening in all the numbered streets all up to 19th, are still happening between 1st and 5th, and at times 7th, okay? And it's because people are parking downtown in the 5th Street lot all day. And it's not just Memorial Day weekend. It was last weekend too, not as crowded, but the same kind of conditions that we had for the years leading up to the ordinance. Why? Because we pushed all the traffic, all the beach goers from 10th to 19th in between 1st and 5th, okay? This is not a good thing. This will destroy that neighborhood. This will have the same impact on the island that we were trying to avoid. So I am sympathetic to the businesses. I think we need to get into individual businesses and why some are up and some are down is a very dangerous thing to do as a committee, because I don't think those conversations would be helpful to the businesses that are struggling, okay? The overall numbers on sales tax receipts are not inconsistent with what the region's experiencing generally, and are not statistically significant when you look at the variation year to year, within or without hurricanes. So, to do something, I think we need to get this 3-hour enforcement done, and then we'll figure out whether this ordinance overall is serving its purpose and whether it's doing any damage. But to codify what is currently already an extraordinary problem for people who live between First and Fifth, and say as a committee, we're gonna decide to do that when the data is not even statistically significant, and we haven't even really begun enforcement yet, it to me is really undermining the promise that in effect was made to the 1,200 people who signed a letter and backed this ordinance because they wanted to preserve this island.
Yeah, well, how about the business people that weren't even consulted?
I understand. What I'm trying to do, just to be clear, Bart.
Because I drive down that road every day. Twice a day, 3 times a day, sometimes 4 times a day, all right? And I see what's in those parking lots. There's nobody there this time of year. There's nobody there. Now, at the last meeting, he said, oh yeah, there's still people around and stuff like that. Yeah, well, then I had to think, well, let me go back and check again, because is it my lying eyes?
I do want
Because
pictures.
it's not my lying eyes, because I saw it.
I'll send you pictures, sir, please. No, I'm sorry, Sally, were you first?
So is it only the people that live on the beach that matter? The
No.
businesses don't matter, is that what you're telling us?
No, it's the effect that it has on the community overall. It's when any given.
I've been here for a long time, longer than you.
Let's not
And
get into a long debate.
preserving the community as it was, this isn't it.
I don't know when you started coming, Bart. I'm not sure you've been here longer. Go ahead.
Sally, go first.
So, it's tricky because, business, if you look at the business district, it lines up with First and Fifth Street. Pretty much the same thing, right?
Exactly.
So there's going to be tension from today till the day I die between the people who live on the beach and the businesses, and who wins and who loses. And that just to me is as frank as we can get. So the ordinance talks about preservation and the importance of sustainability, and we talk about, the environment, the environmental impact. So I look at all that, and then I've read the ordinance multiple times. The ordinance is not just about the residents. It says they support the island's economy by maintaining availability of parking for patrons of the shops and restaurants. Talks about protecting island's residents and property owners and business personnel from unreasonable burdens, gaining access to their properties and businesses. It talks about promoting and stabilizing and talking about the island's tourist-related economy. There is an equal weight put on this. So I live real close to you. I get all of that. I get all of the parking challenges. But we have businesses saying they are in trouble. So I'm trying to figure out what wins here. And economic sustainability for these businesses is as important to this community. That is the culture. These are mom and pop shops with one exception. Everything is a mom and pop shop. I'm sorry about the beach people being all there and potentially ruining your experience. I'm actually, when you buy a beach, I live on Banyan. You think they're weddings. There's prom. I got it all. When I bought, I knew it. When you bought on the beach, that's what you get. And we can try all sorts of things. We can talk about wet sand, dry sand, quiet title, who can park, who can't park, and the reality is we all knew what we did when we bought into this place. So I understand you don't necessarily want that, but as businesses, what happens if these businesses don't make it? Because what you're asking, the data isn't proving out. Okay, so let's take the can down the road. Next year, these same people come up. Is that enough? What is gonna get you to move? I don't think certain people are gonna move because you live in a place that is impacted, and it is impacted. these people are desperate, they're asking for our help for 3 months, 4 months, it's such a little bit. And if it's a disaster, we can change it.
Others?
I just wanted, just to kind of go back also from the bigger picture as to why, the ordinance was put in place. I mean, there were really, as I recall, 3 main reasons. One was public safety. Another is quality of life for people who live here and pay taxes here. And the other is environmental sensitivity. Let's not forget that during the summer season, there's peak turtle hatch season as well on the beach. Originally, right until the very end in the final vote, it was a 2-hour restriction downtown, and it went to 3 hours as a compromise. As Rich said before, during the summer, and we can all see, there is ample parking by and large downtown, except for those who, you know, wanna stay all day and hopefully they don't get a ticket downtown and go to the beach. I don't have details, but if anybody speaks to the sheriff's department here, they've been very heartened by the ordinance. He said there's been a significant decline in things like public intoxication incidences on the beach, altercations on the beach, as Hugh was talking about, you know, public health or sanitation, incidents on the beach. It just seemed, you know, that the pressure is off, particularly during peak season. We've, you know, 3 hours is a long time. The difference between 3 hours and 4 hours is not gonna save a business downtown, particularly in the off-season. This is something, we've not even gone through a season with this yet, to see how this works. So I, you know, with you know, hearing some of the other things, I am very reluctant to change anything, before we've even given it a year or 2 years to see what we've come up with changes. I don't think that going from 3 hours to 4 hours is gonna make or break any of the businesses downtown.
But there's ultimately a advertising marketing angle here, so it could be that you're telling our neighbors, and we all define neighbors differently, right? I define it as also people off island who've been there longer than I have. I agree, there was too much traffic. I'm like not one of these people that didn't see it. I actually live there. It was all over. But I'm a steward of my property. Somebody's gonna own it after me. And I look at that and I think, okay, let's give it a year, let's give it 2 years. What is it that you need for you? Cause that's what I have to think about. That's gonna get you to say, you know what, maybe this is punitive to the stores. Maybe this does hurt them and we want this economic, we want a vibrant business because it'll impact my property values. Like we need businesses, they need them, we need them as residents and taxpayers, we want that. So what is it? Cause I wanna be able to say, if we vote this down for some reason today, to say to them, give us a couple of years and we'll get back to you, cause that's really what I think you're saying. And I'm not making a judgment here, I'm trying to get people to understand, are we gonna really revisit this? And what is it they have to do to show us that this is an impact? Are we okay if we lose a couple businesses, cause that's life?
Now, if the businesses are gone, they won't be complaining anymore,
I
somebody
just-
new will come in.
To me, it's really tricky, we're putting people, we're saying, you know what, we hear you, you're down, it's not statistically enough for us to make a decision. So we'll look at it and we'll get through the year, but actually we need 2 years of data. I just wanna understand that we actually are going to make a decision one way or the other. If it shows nothing, what is that date that we say there's no impact? Do we have to go through one other summer? I don't know, I'm asking you because I don't know. I'm a business owner and when I have a business
Just
owner,
intuitively,
Yeah.
at the slowest possible time of the year, the businesses giving relief in the manner that, you know, you're describing, I don't think is gonna improve business conditions. I just don't.
But so the tricky part is when
And the other issues as to why this came to pass in the first place, the environmental, the quality of life, the public safety.
When they start
Those are
talking
still-
environmental, then you know they've got your hands in your pocket.
So I actually looked.
I don't know what that means.
Okay, one at a time, please.
So,
I know you don't wanna
I've
hear
done a
that
ton
stuff.
of research, and basically those 3 reasons are the reasons that almost every single coastal community comes up with parking regulations. They are all valid. I absolutely see the validity. But there's also the economic part. There are the businesses, the inn is a driver. If the inn has guests coming and there are no stores here, that is a problem for the inn. So I really hope we're not, we can think, but I don't know if you visit all these stores.
We've gone back and forth, let's let other people speak to it. Rich?
I'm with the earlier comment. I don't know why businesses are up or down on the island, but I do know this. This is one of the highest concentrations of purchasing power between Naples and Sarasota. Is it really up to us to try to figure out how people should be merchandising to that? In my view. And, we have a slow season. We're not talking about access to our businesses, because there is plenty of parking during the off season. I mean, we can see it. I don't think that's the issue. The issue is some sort of message to off islanders to be more welcoming, which I want that to be the case. I want them off islanders to feel welcome. But it's kind of odd to me. What are we trying to solve? Is it a boycott that we're trying to undo?
Yes.
Well, you know what?
Yes.
It's okay. People can make their own choice on whether to come on this island or not. And in my view.
It's
And
just,
if you're
it's a
let
message
me
of
finish, and then you can speak.
goodwill.
If you're a business and you can't make it on Boca Grande, I think you
I
gotta
can make it,
examine-
I'm not going
I gotta
anywhere.
think
I have
you
my
need
own
to-
part.
you
Mark,
need to-
one at a time.
Listen, I think you need to examine how you're marketing to the community that's available.
I'm doing just well. I'm doing good.
Well, Bart, I'm not making a
Please
comment
don't
on your
respond.
business, I'm just saying.
Well, it
that
sounds
why
like
are-
you are,
Well, I'm not making a comment.
and I'm not going anywhere.
I didn't ask you to
Obviously
go
not
anywhere.
even affected if this change goes into effect. Doesn't affect me whatever, because I have my own parking.
Well,
But for the
what I'm trying to
businesses
suggest is,
downtown, I don't wanna see
we're a little
them fail.
presumptuous here to be trying to understand why one merchant might be up or down this year or next year.
Well,
I
don't
mean,
tell me
who
how,
are we to judge
don't
that?
tell me how many are up.
But then,
Okay, hang on. So, Richard, you're done. Bart, if you wanna comment, you can comment, and then we go to Nikki.
Go, Nikki.
So I think Sally brought up a lot of good points. She listed all the businesses who have said something this now, not next year, and like not as we collect data during our slowest time, which is going right now. The inn is our economic driver of our community, and we're aware of that. It's not in question. So we're asking for relief while the inn is closed. That's the whole point, to welcome our extended community, our off-island community, to the island during our off-season. I understand like you're still experiencing issues, on the residential streets that are next to downtown. That's super accurate, but that's something that's not in the purview of the ordinance. It's a public facility issue that's been happening forever out here. Like that has not ever been addressed with the county, why there's no public restrooms for our visitors. And that's why you guys are experiencing like that type of behavior. So I don't know why the businesses have to be affected by something the county's not addressing, and maybe there's not enough community input on that. But I know talking to business owners, everybody would love to get a public restroom out there for everybody's sake. Like we're one of the only people, like business-wise, that let customers in because they have nowhere to go. And that's kind of separate, but I know that's a huge part of why, homeowners are experiencing like this gross behavior, and that's not acceptable out here. So I mean, the ask for seasonality it's just a ask. I mean, we have so many businesses who are already stating this is an issue. So we're gonna wait for more and more data. Like we don't have good data right now. We're in it right now. Like we don't have that data yet. So before we educate everybody, I just think it'd be wise to put it through and see if it works, and if it doesn't, then take it away if you don't like it. But I think there's a separate issue going on that's not being addressed, that's causing like this tension.
I know you'd like to speak, but before you do, I'd like to ask, is there anyone who hasn't spoken to this issue that has a comment? Because some of us have a tendency to constantly have comments. I wanna make sure everybody has the chance.
I have one comment. So we talk about, the ordinance just going into effect. Well, the ordinance actually went into effect, wasn't it August of last year? So, I mean, it has been almost a year, just as.
It's only been in force since February.
I do understand that, since February 1st, but I think there was a lack of trust in general, once it went into effect, that people weren't going to be cited. So I think the effects sort of started pretty close to around August. Also, just, one statistic, I know as a committee we like statistics. We were, at Florida Press Association, last week or the week before, and the Florida Chamber of Commerce tracks a lot of information. If there's anybody who loves data and you don't access their website, go to their website because they have all sorts of information. But the new information in terms of new residents, Florida is now, I know several years ago it was like a couple thousand people moving in each year, and Mark probably knows this better than I do, but the new statistic is Florida is welcoming 551 net new residents every day. Only 62 of those are from other states and 489 are from other countries. So, that's just a statistic, right? But so that's information, and
I'm
that's.
assuming they're including New Jersey as another country.
So, at any rate, so that, I know, part of the reason the ordinance was enacted in the beginning was that there were thousands of new people moving in every year. So, just sort of as a statistic, that has changed as well.
Is there anybody who hasn't spoken yet to this topic that would like? If not, Rich, I think it's your turn. Did you have something else? You're done. Anybody else with a comment?
Go ahead. You wanna go first? I would say, so what Nikki brought up was the whole idea of the end and close, which I forgot, when I had my store, fourth quarter was October to December, I had to make all my money to get through January, February, March. It's just a little bit different timing here. So, a lot of places are closed, Newlands and Boas, and there are a bunch of people that are closed, so, in the end. So, it does seem to me that one of the things we could do is give them every opportunity to limp through their off-season, which is these months. It's their fourth quarters when we're here.
And we're talking about, sorry.
Let's let Sandi go on that. Thank you.
Okay, well, just to recap, so the study did come out from FGC, we just haven't had a chance to study it, and I had just briefly the time to look through it, but it did show business were down, unless you wanted to consider a few months when some of the businesses were closed last year. So those numbers were like kind of a wash. But what my thought is if we do wait too long and we don't ask for some relief, we're gonna have businesses that are out of business. And that would be a shame. And so it really, I don't think that we have anything to lose if we're talking about, we're not impacting the beach parking or any of that. I do like the idea of trying to come up with a public bathroom so that, because if we do have handicapped people that need to use it, maybe even talk about a ramp for them or whatever, that'd be down the road. That's not even within our responsibility, but maybe those would be kind things to do to be good. But as far as the downtown, it hasn't been enforced, so people have felt free to go downtown and park because we know, and the sheriff themselves, they have said they're not enforcing it because there's not enough rules out there, so they haven't been. So as a result, people haven't really bumped in so much. Okay, that's the one thing. And so what I would like to see is if you could just say, go ahead and do it for the 4 months. Give it a try. If it's a problem over these 4 months, and that's why it was June, so you had Memorial Day weekend, was not included, you still That was, and that way you can park longer than 3 hours, and so you don't have that, when you go to lunch, you still have time to shop.
Has the parking, not the parking,
One time, yes.
may I, has the parking rule not been enforced at all downtown?
That's a point of information I can answer. It's very difficult. I can't say that they haven't enforced a single violation, but what I can say, through conversation with the sheriff over for more than a year, that they don't currently have the technology that it makes it easy for them to enforce. There is technology available. I was involved in a company that put a lot of it in for major corporations, that will make it very simple for them to do it. The county has gotten, my understanding, some bids, and they're evaluating that technology. But until they have it, they're down to chalking tires, and it's just, they've deemed that to be impractical.
Sounds like the 1960s.
Exactly, they've deemed that to be impractical, and I would say they're right. So that's just a point of information, so, I'm sorry.
But so it's really, it's a perception
Going right
problem,
along.
perception problem. Maybe there are tons of, lots of spots, since it's not being enforced here. But we were saying to just eliminate all parking restrictions in downtown area, right? And just publicly putting that out there, even though right now there are spots for anybody really, I just wants to comment.
During a certain period of time.
Yeah, during, yeah.
But if it's not being
Right now, there are a lot of
enforced,
spots, but.
No, there are other places that do that. Seasonal, it's not, we're not doing it.
Okay, let's, again, one at a time.
may I,
Bruce, you
if
can
it's
finish,
not
and
being
then we go to
enforced,
the-
will that make any difference?
Well,
I don't know, yeah, right now it's not, so right, why aren't people coming?
Yeah.
Well, because they don't know that.
Yeah, they don't know.
They don't know that. They think they're gonna get a $300 ticket if they come down.
No, well, let me
So-
take a different point of view, if I may. The beachgoers still come on the weekends at least. And they park downtown if nobody's telling them that it's a limitation on time.
Well, they probably know.
Usually when they go to the beach, they go for longer than 3 hours.
Well, I don't know about that. I have a restaurant on the beach. I don't know that people can stay this time of year out in the sun for more than 3-4 hours.
they bring their tents and they're doing it. Next.
Till the beer runs out.
Well, I think Kimberly's been trying to speak.
So with this recommendation, we are technically asking for a change in the ordinance or not?
There has not yet been a motion.
If that were to go, if there were, and we did that, it would be a request to change the ordinance.
I believe that would legally be the only way to affect something. We couldn't make a
Temporary.
request to say, yeah, it would be a temporary change as a test. Go ahead, any
So
more?
it has to be something we bring up to the board, to the commissioners, and they have to approve it.
So it's not
So-
gonna happen for this.
No, I'm sorry, but when I see this and I believe in everything that Sally has said, and I back everything she has talked about, and as well as Nikki. But what is happening when I see this, we're gonna be pushing out a whole nother year if we don't do something now. So it'll be a whole lot more time before we can try to get help to the businesses. So we wanna start the ball rolling. If we wait a whole nother year, then it's gonna be 3 years before we can try to get them some relief. So I think it's imperative to start now.
An additional point of information, then a comment from me. Additional point of information is, we had talked, originally a proposal was made to do this only while the inn is closed. And that was the week after the 4th of July through September or October, whatever, I don't know the exact date. In discussion, there were those who then said, no, wait a minute, let's include June, what's the harm in that? Okay. What I have learned since, as a point of information, I was told I could share this, is that June is the inn's 3rd largest month. So hurting June is really hurting a driver of business on this island.
Well,
So,
how's it hurting the inn?
because what's happening with the 5th Street lot is you have 80 cars, and between the 5th Street lot and the 3-hour parking restricted downtown, and the GICA owned spaces, you have 400 parking spaces, okay?
There's 400 parking spaces?
There are 400, you can
The
count.
Fifth Street lot has what?
Has 80.
Oh, you're counting everything downtown?
Yes, I'm saying, that's what we're talking about, taking restrictions off.
Is
So you have,
Ian's position that they've been hurt by having people on the island?
yes,
I didn't
they,
know that.
that they have been hurt by the overcrowding, because guess what? They all go in front of their beach club and their villas that they're renting out for thousands of dollars a night. And they're harming the experience people are having. So yes, they have their
Send
rebooking
them
ready to
down
go
to the
down.
state park, we got a lot of room down there.
Well, that's what we need the map, I mean, I
That's-
can
that's
comfortably
exactly
people
what
in
we're
the
very
street
well
lot, they don't
behaved
even
there.
know.
That's exactly what we'd like to have
Yeah,
happen.
we need
That's
to
the
send
point.
them down.
I knew that that would be, to me, if I were the end, I get it. So, let's not push it or poke the bear. Let's do the day that, I think it's July sixth, and they open up October first. July sixth to September 30th. That would be my proposal. Test it.
So is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Okay, the motion.
That's a motion.
Can I paraphrase the motion? The motion is to relax the 3-hour parking restriction.
You need to eliminate.
Well,
Right.
Yeah.
eliminate it on a temporary basis, a trial, 1 year, between the July 6th,
I believe it's when they
and we'll verify the date that they close. But we're targeting the week after the 4th of July traffic has gone until September 30th.
Can I just, point of clarification on the motion, you'd added in a trial for 1 year. So I mean,
Is that what you would like, or just?
I don't think we need to put that in
Don't say
place.
it,
I wouldn't
right.
say it, I would just say, this is, we are going to put in seasonal relief from July sixth, September 30th.
Okay.
That's my motion.
Got it. Thank you.
Not just this year?
No, it's, well, we can change it later, is the
We-
point. I think as a practical matter, and I'm sorry, this is another just point of information, I think the odds of getting this approved by the Lee County Board of Commissioners in time to affect this season is not that high. So it is important that you don't put the limit on it, because if you wanna have it, to Kimberly's point, for next year.
Because they
Which
don't
is not to
need-
say I support it, just to clarify.
They don't meet in
Quick
July.
question, sorry,
Yes.
just for signage purposes, this would have to be portrayed on the signs. The inn closes the Monday after 4th of July, is it like is there a standard, how does that exactly work? Cause if we're gonna put July 6th, it's July 6th every year regardless
Yeah.
of when the inn actually closes.
We need to get that clarified.
So we have to clarify that,
And-
like if we do July, we can do, but,
And the problem that you're pointing
well,
out.
I'm not changing the signs
Yeah,
every
it
year based on when
depends
the inn
on-
closes.
Right.
It depends on which day of the week the 4th of July.
That's what I imagine,
And
that it would
so
depend on that.
you might have to choose the 10th or some
Right.
other date
So
to be
it-
safe.
Yeah, we would need to choose a date that would be more all-encompassing, cause again, I'm not gonna go out and change signs annually.
If,
It's a lot of signs.
if I may, if the motion is for this year only, then some of those dates don't.
It's
count.
not.
It's,
She clarified she wants the motion.
you want it forever?
Because, no, so I don't know how the language could read, but we will be, it's not testing, but we're looking to relax it for this season. I don't think we're gonna be able to because commissioners don't meet, so this is kind of, but put it into place. We're gonna do summer relaxation or seasonal relaxation. I would not say 1 year only, cause this year it may be moot point, and we may not get it through past in time. Because
Well,
yeah.
okay, either we do or we don't get it approved, but, I would think it'd be easier to get it approved if it was for this year only. It's a trial and everybody
That
makes it what the
is
outcome.
fine, it's just if it's, I think the point was if it's this year and they don't even see it, I don't want it to not begin and end before it ever got started. So I'm just trying to make sure the language
So-
is
So I think we
is
would be
correct.
talking about it.
So,
So
you'll
just,
figure out the-
we'll bring it back procedurally, you've made a motion, there hasn't been a second yet, so
Yes.
can I clarify?
There was a second.
There was a second.
So who was the second, you? Oh,
Kimberly.
So is this the discussion after?
This is the
motion and a
discussion
second?
of the motion. I would like to just, if you would like to have it be a 1-year trial.
That's fine.
You could make it for 1 year following
The commissioners.
the first, full period
Yes.
of effectiveness.
Right.
So it would be sunsetted on a certain date, right?
Probably not, perhaps at the end of this year, but it would be sunsetted September 30th the following year, unless we chose to
Because
extend it.
it's gonna take board action, so if you only want it to be for a certain period of time, you would need to amend your motion to say it would be effective from, July 6th of, we don't know when it's going to the board, to September 30th of whatever year.
Well, except you don't want it, it's September 30th this year, and
Yeah.
it's July whatever to September 30 each year, ending, unless extended, September 30th, 2027. Is that your motion?
Yes.
Okay, is that the second? Is that, okay, so that's what we're seconding, to basically do it through September 30th of next year.
I think they always just close it, it's the Monday after the 4th of July weekend, whatever that Monday would be, I think that's what they've done, but.
Right, but we can't put it on the sign.
No, you have to put it Monday after the 4th of July, that would be it, that's just first Monday, whatever.
Does the seconder agree with the?
Yes.
Discussion, Mark.
Yeah, I'm glad we're having this discussion, but don't we have a procedural issue here because we'd have to be, 100% right now to forward?
That is correct, but there's been a motion made, and we'll vote on the motion.
So, somebody help me refresh my memory. So we had the dates discussion last time, and back in my memory bank, and maybe it was Nathan, maybe it was Mr. Jacobs, or whatever, brought up the same point, that DOT just brought up. And did he say before that we couldn't have a specific date? Was it like at July 1, could we put a specific date on there?
He didn't like the length of the sign that you would have
Okay.
if you had a date rather than, a day of the month rather than just months.
Like
Okay.
July through September.
But is it possible? It's
Okay.
possible, okay? That was one. The discussion then quickly morphed into people tagging onto that and saying, well, let's make it June and July, which we've all decided is problematic. So I think if we have DOT here, I'm assuming we could put,
I would agree that putting a specific date, makes it longer, plus it just becomes a little bit more cumbersome. So if we could make it round months, that would be better for signage purposes.
but perhaps make it more difficult to get through the Board of Commissioners.
I'm not gonna even try and suggest that I know how they would
Just
vote
a
on
comment.
it.
People probably understand.
Well, they
Yes.
can change it too, right? I mean, they can.
I think we would prefer a date, so that we don't get into July, and then we have to, with the.
So the motion is for a date, correct? Okay. Other discussion?
I may be in the minority here, so I'm gonna offer this, because I think we need unanimous consent to make a recommendation. I'm not persuaded this is a good idea, because I don't even know what problem exactly we're trying to solve. And I don't wanna talk in platitudes. I wanna know what problem are we trying to solve by doing this. I just wanna give people a chance to persuade me, because I don't get it. There isn't a parking shortage. There's plenty of places to park. Why are we doing this? And I don't mean to be, I'm not trying to, I'm offering a chance to persuade me.
Well, the people, our neighbors off the island, are boycotting the businesses on Boca Grande because of the parking regulations that were passed. Now, the businesses didn't pass those regulations, you did, all right? So we're asking to give us a chance to show the people that our neighbors who have been coming to the island and doing business with us for years, to show them that we at least feel their pain, right? That's what it is. So it's a question of, like the judge that dismissed the case. Either you have a heart or you don't.
But will it help the businesses if people come during those months
Well,
to
if they
go to the
always
beach
had,
and park in downtown in front of, you know, wherever stores for the whole day,
Well,
go to the
maybe-
beach and don't shop, that
maybe
doesn't
they
really
won't
help,
wanna
but we don't know.
boycott the
So-
island anymore.
So Barbara,
Yeah.
you're in retail, clearly, so that's a great question. But the only ones that can answer that are the retailers and
Right,
restaurants.
it's so
And they're
soon to
telling-
make such a big, yeah, that's a.
It is so soon, but.
I have people
what's-
coming in every day that comment on this stuff, alright? But they
It's a
come
hot
because
topic.
we have loyal customers.
That's true.
And I'm not going anywhere, and I'm not gonna go out of business.
No.
But, you know, I feel for these other people too. And I would like to send a message to our neighbors in the area that we're not nasty people. That we're not
People just gonna go to
bigots.
the beach, they're not gonna shop,
But how do
you don't know, I mean, that's the thing,
Again,
all of this is we don't know.
One at a time, please.
But we don't know that because we know the studies we done. So we're working in the blind, we're just doing the best we can, working in the dark. But I'm not willing to make that decision. What I do know is giving them 3 months and seeing if it works is a pretty easy give. Does it get people off island? Because I know Barbara Ann a million times has come in here and said, I rely on off-island business. So, Chris at Lily said, I rely on, so I'm kind of like, what more do we need? Maybe certain stores don't, but I know restaurants do, I know, it has to be, this is 3 months we're asking for, 3 months, I don't know what, it may not persuade you, but I just don't know what else it's gonna be.
But they're welcome to come on the island, and there's places to park. And so I don't get that. I think Bart's actually offering, the real issue is that you feel like it'll send a message that
Yes.
we're more welcoming.
Yeah.
We think. We don't know, but we think.
Yeah, no, I think that,
We think.
I think people are smart
So
enough to
there's-
realize that.
So there's this idea that there's this boycott, right?
Well, it's
I'm
not
sure
an
there
idea,
is.
it's actually happening.
But-
If you go on social, I don't go on social media, but people read me stuff.
Well, there's
If you
this
wanna
idea that
look,
there's
there's
a
some nasty
boycott.
stuff out there.
And maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but we have no idea what, I don't know. I just know that there's no access issue to our businesses, that's not the problem. Maybe there is a boycott and I'm not aware of it, but I don't know what we're trying to solve.
The issue, I believe, is just, this will make it easier for people to go to the beach.
Right.
This will not make any difference, really, to the businesses. That
Well,
signal, I don't know.
It's got nothing to
But
do with
I
the
do
beach.
know, you know,
I think it has everything to do with the beach, all
Yeah,
of
that's-
this, everything.
So we
It's
are,
a workaround.
we're
Okay,
one at a
a beach,
time.
we're a beach community,
Yeah,
and so
exactly.
One at a time, Nikki,
that is
please.
our draw,
Yeah,
right? That's our
definitely.
tourism,
And
that's
Nikki,
what we're discussing.
Can you start over because people were talking over each
Yeah,
other?
no, it's just, I think there's just we all have to kind of come together and understand each other's perspectives, right? That's like, I'm hoping the point of us being on a panel here together. And that's like, this is our off-season. The folks who keep us afloat in our off-season are our off-islanders. They are our beachgoers, and yes, it will give them more access to the beach in a sense. And I know that is not exactly what everybody wants. But those are the folks who keep our business afloat in the off-season. So it is very important to us that we have the opportunity. It's a very low stakes motion. I mean, it's a temporary motion for next season. And it gives our businesses time to educate, like our whole point education. We can let people know, hey, we're gonna be lax in the off-season, so you can come out here and enjoy the island, you know, like you used to. Cause this has changed our community culture, like big time. Our reputation is totally different with this one ordinance. This isn't the Boca Grande I grew up on. And to me, that's sad. Like, I love everybody on this island, I love people off island, like we all work together. And whatever we can do to kind of smooth things over with the actual boycott going on, it's not a fantasy, whether or not it's just like, there's a lot of inflammatory stuff online, you can't read it, it's maddening, but that is reality that's happening, and it's, you know, if we try it for this next season and it's no good, then we know it's no good, but I don't see why we don't try. I understand that's not what everybody wants to hear, but
You know,
this is
one
our
other thing-
businesses have all said, like, a lot of businesses have
I'll come
said
to you after
something.
Bruce, he's been asking.
And I think it'd be a shame to not listen to the collective voice of the business community.
Thank you.
And if I may, I think I don't have a problem with the motion as it's stated, but I don't think it's gonna prove anything. Yeah, until the county starts enforcing the time limit downtown, I believe downtown is being overrun in the busier seasons by beachgoers. If they had been enforcing it during this period, and then you take the limit off for the summer, maybe we'd learn something specific from it. But without knowing what the impact of enforcement can be, I don't think we really know what the differential is. But I don't have a problem with the summer, the way it's been proposed.
Well, does anybody know that it wasn't enforced during the busy season?
Yes.
So they've never enforced it, you're saying?
The 3 hour, they have not been able to enforce regularly. I can't say that they've never written a ticket at all, but the sheriff's office has told me that it's impractical for them to enforce right now. They have not wanted to put that out online. I recognize this is a public meeting, so I may have just done us some harm. And my apologies to the sheriff's office and all of those affected.
Let me just add one thing to the whole thing about being open in the summer and why the businesses need business in the summer in order to keep our employees employed. And, you know, we have a busy year, but to get through and to keep everybody on in the summertime, it's important that we get some traffic in the summer. You know, people coming to the beach do bring traffic. People rent the condominiums at the, you know, whatever else on the island that's short-term rentals or monthly rentals. And we get a lot of families come down and people come from off island. And you know, you get a certain level of business that sustains keeping your employees. You can justify keeping all your employees on. We try to do that, and I know the people in the shops in the other places try and do that too. That's what's important to me. It's always been important to me. We were out of business for almost 2 years. We got wiped out. We rented the place from over in 3rd Street, and we kept all our employees employed. Myself and my partner never took a salary for those 2 years. You know, but we kept our employees and their families fed. And that's what we're talking about here today. It's sustaining the businesses and the employees. You know, I know that people are worried about their property values going up. But, you know, to me, it's life and death for my people that work for me. Not my property value.
Hugh, may I ask you, what's your perspective on this motion, please?
I hate that. I'm not heartless. I want the businesses to do well, okay? For me personally, it's not the end of the world that we tried for people. But I will tell you, I do feel an obligation to people, broader set of people who back this ordinance, and we did have a notion that we're not gonna move the problem from one part of the island to the other. And I will tell you, that's what this will do, because it's what it has already done through lack of enforcement. Can I just finish? He asked me my perspective, I'd like to answer.
How is it gonna move it to one island? Yeah, that's my other question.
Okay, how has that happened? As I said, there's roughly 400 parking spaces that are wide open downtown without restriction when this happens. All the people who get $300 tickets, if they go between if they go north of 5th Street on a beachside street, are parking downtown or in the 5th Street lot and overcrowding the narrowest stretch of beach on the island. And I will send you pictures if I'm allowed to, but it's literally tent against tent, okay? On the most crowded weekend, the extreme of Memorial. This isn't about the beach, it's about what happens to the neighborhood when all those people are traipsing through.
I think your argument should be with the sheriff's office.
It is, I've asked them for enforcement, believe me. But we're talking about not having enforcement during the summer, and I will tell you, it's on summer weekends as well, okay? So, I don't wanna be blind to, it brings harm to a neighborhood to do it. I think Sally correctly recognized.
And that's why I asked you
The balance.
perspective. I wanted to
And-
ask you perspective because I know you live in that neighborhood, and my question to you is, what's your perspective on this?
My perspective is I'd like to find other ways to help businesses. And I think if we're doing this because people are boycotting, that's not good governance, personally. So I'm against it, but.
Just one thing in support of the forcing the issue from one part of the island to the other. I heard that over Memorial Day, when there was a big rush of people that came in and all parked downtown, all went, is that, as it affects the inn, that over 100 people tried to access the beach by cutting through the beach club, and they had extra security to try and, prevent that. So there is the, public safety in that aspect.
Sally.
So I kind of call a question, and it'll be directed to you and perhaps you, Rich. Because I really hear strongly, and I've watched the last one, really clear about giving this the best possible chance, this ordinance, to stay in line. So is this a little bit of an exercise in futility for all of us sitting around the table, that there is not gonna be any movement that impacts the ordinance in any way, where we send it to Lee County? Because if that's the case, we're all spending a lot of time here and people's energy. If that's the case, and we can't get the super majority because three people couldn't come, and any one of you drops out, tell us now, because I actually think it's important to know that if that's how you feel, tell us.
Well, I just did, and what I would say is the most effective way to do that is to move the question. If there aren't other new comments to be made, I'd like to move the question. Is there a second on moving the question? Second. That means we vote.
Okay, got it, thank you.
That way we'll find out.
For this one issue.
For this one
But
issue.
if any other ordinance, if the idea is there cannot be changes to this ordinance because we are now, it is sacrosanct, I would like to hear from you all and let me know, cause I've got other things I can do with my
Well, of
time.
course it's.
I would never conclude that.
Okay. I will answer on behalf of myself, and if you wanna direct it to other people. For me, no, that is not the case. There are changes that I would like to see happen to the ordinance. They're not high enough priority right now that it's an appropriate time to burden the committee with it. The basic principles of the ordinance, I'm unyielding on, okay? And I recognize there's a tension between supporting the businesses and preserving quality of life for those who live here. And, I'm open to innovative ways to help businesses that don't harm the quality of life of people who live here. But when it comes down to harming the quality of life of people who live here, I'm gonna be a no. Bluntly. So, if you just wanna know where I am. But this is really a little off topic, and so I'm going.
I appreciate it.
Well, not really, because we deserve to know if we're wasting our time.
Well, we can do that after,
Everything
the point is we can do that after this discussion. But there's been a motion and a second to move the question, which means we take a vote, okay? And then we can have this. I shouldn't have answered, I'm sorry. I'm learning as a chair myself. So, I think we need a voice vote on this, an individual vote. So typically you would call people's names out.
I'll start with Sandi. I vote in favor of having the relief in the seasonal relief.
Favor, okay. Okay, and Mr. Hugh?
I'm against.
Against?
No.
Am I supposed to stop here?
Well, no, we need to know where people are because it's information.
No, we don't vote, Mr. He votes, okay, Mr. Reese?
I will vote for it.
For it?
I'm for it.
For it?
Against.
Against?
Barbara?
I'm against it this year. I feel like it's too much, not enough time.
For it.
And I'm sorry, your name?
Oh, Barbara.
Barbara.
For it.
just fucking shoot.
And then Kimberly Whipple was for.
So Kimberly.
Nikki?
For it.
Rich?
I'm against it.
Mark? I'm for it. I'm sorry, did you get Mark's vote?
And now, hold on, I'm sorry.
Okay, slow down.
Rich, and then Sarah,
For.
for it. And then Mark.
And then Mark. Four. So the tally is?
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 for it.
4 against. Okay. So, for clarity, with those numbers against, it wouldn't have passed even if the other 3 people had been here and all before.
So it does not pass.
It does not pass, because it's a recommendation for change.
So now that it's been a motion, we can't put that back on the table again? Is that correct?
I defer to Joe on that.
The way that Robert's rules read is that only the prevailing side of the motion, of the way the vote went, could bring this up again. It can be brought up, at a future meeting. Put on an agenda.
So any one of the 4 who voted against it could change their mind and ask for reconsideration. And I don't think any of us rule that out,
No.
given what we've heard about the reasons.
It's more than changing your mind, it's being open to giving these people a voice once again about their life.
Okay. I'm not gonna try and say any more about why I voted the way I voted. I'll try to be clear. It was a difficult choice for me, I will say. Okay. Well, with that behind us, perhaps it gets easier. The next item on the agenda is golf carts. And I believe the original proposal was simply that, please, the original proposal was that golf cart companies be allowed to issue passes to people who were who would otherwise qualify. In other words, they're a house guest, a resident, a hotel guest, or someone leasing a property, staying on property, okay? I think that got modified in discussion by at least some of the golf cart, maybe both who were here, to say, we're only asking to give it to multi-day rentals for the period that they're renting. Okay, so I think unless someone objects, we should constrain our conversation to that request. That being that they be allowed, and I believe the purpose behind that, excuse me for editorializing, but I will attempt to clarify. The purpose behind that is to say, look, given where we are, you gotta be staying on the island in order to rent it for more than a day, okay? That could be debated, but I think that's the spirit behind why it's being proposed. So with that in mind, let's open discussion. Mark.
We do a fair amount of business with the different vendors in our thing. We could print as many placards as we would need. I think the question that was brought up by Hugh here was that he is making deliveries randomly on the island, and there are going to be golf cars parked that may be subject to ticketing if there wasn't some pre-sticker. So I mean, that's, I think, an issue. I think the other part might be solvable if there were placards provided by the accommodation. But I think there's still a housekeeping area that somehow needs to cover the vendors who are doing deliveries, which are, you know, not exclusive to his company, but there are other vendors that have to trailer something.
May I ask, Rich was next, and then, sorry, not Rich, Lewis, excuse me.
I was, to go to what Mark just said, maybe you could help, I'm not really clear in terms of the delivery. and everything, what the problem is, if you can add some.
Am I allowed?
Yeah, let's relax the rules and let's Joe's gonna cut my hand off.
Most of our customers are return customers only because of the length of time we've been in business. And most of those are either multiple year renters that choose not to own, or owners that are celebrating guests, relatives, or events. And more times than not, we don't see the principal. We're not gonna go bug Mrs. Parrish when we're delivering 6 cars because Vince Gill is playing guitar that night. We deliver and we leave. So we don't have that interaction at a counter where people are giving us that Visa card. And we just want clarification on what rule we're supposed to follow. I wish Misty was here today. If you go to all the websites of everybody now that has inundated the Boca Grande market, we're probably the only website that doesn't offer daily or hourly rentals. Our minimum is weekly, and that's by design, by request, everybody from Jack to Molly all the way back to Side and Sticker. We used to be the principal rental agent for the inn. So golf carts, the inn jumping in with both feet probably hurt us worse than anybody on the island, which, things change. When I started, we're talking about seasonality. We used to lose about $30,000 a month for 4 months to participate in the Boca Grande market because there was no business here. Everybody closed shop and went someplace else. Hell, Kim Newland invited me up to Maine, I don't know how many times, to go play in her sandbox rather than sit here and sweat with John DuBois sitting in his garage on 9th Street. The market has definitely changed. And I feel it's up to us to change. I just want to know from our company's standpoint what the rules are, and is the playing field going to be fair? Because if you give us the opportunity to print passes, other companies can print passes for whatever they want as well. And then all of a sudden, the whole purpose of a parking pass is mute. So, I don't want to be the cop on the street going, hey, that guy's doing 26 miles an hour. We haven't been for 19 years now that golf carts have sped up. Misty will tell you that our company probably has the least complaints for speed on the bike path, because we will not rent anything that goes in excess of 19. That's the law. That's where we play. That's not being held by everybody else. Again, I don't want to be the cop on the block. I just want to know what the rules are.
Yes?
So I looked it up because I realized that, and nowhere doesn't talk about that the realtors can pass it out, but they do, and it's a wonderful service. And having had people rent and I have kids who rent, I see that. But I did ChatGPT, and rent by owner is 25 to 50 houses. VRBO is 150 to 200 active short term. So they might not be going through Mark or somebody else. That's separate. So now you've got this other layer of somebody renting. Wouldn't it be simpler to just have a golf cart, like whatever that pass is, so it's very clear, everybody has the same thing, I'm renting from Cappy's. We have to have somebody trust them, right? Also, that the adventurers, or the Boca Grande golf carts, they're gonna give it to people who actually are staying here. They're not gonna give it to day trippers. Why would they do that to their reputation? That wouldn't be smart.
It does happen.
Yeah.
We heard about it, and it happens.
Because they make money in any rental, yeah.
They have been ticketed.
But so if we're gonna assume the worst of everybody, really we shouldn't make too many changes. I'm gonna go with, this is, once again, we're gonna give you this opportunity to do this right until you do it wrong. But it does seem crazy to me that the realtors can do it and that there are a whole bunch of other people renting that have a different issue. They don't have this, it's not a level playing field.
Well, excuse me, but they are the owner of the property. And under the current rules, what they can do is leave house guest passes on the counter for their renter, okay? So they're not using a realtor.
It's on them.
They are the management company. Right. And they leave house guest passes, and they're not limited in number. So they can have one for the car, ask them, what do you need? One for your car, one for a golf cart, are you gonna rent a golf cart? And they leave them. That's the way the system is designed currently, just for clarification. So the design is that the control point, and this is key, the control point is the party, the responsible party generating the information that gives the person the right to do it. And that's either the hotel, the homeowner, or the real estate.
So the gentleman, I think it was Boca Grande Golf Carts, who came in the first meeting, he
Right.
said that he had people who stayed at the inn, but they wanted to rent his golf carts, so it was probably a price difference. So, but he said, well, that's an example where then it became, you know, they have to go back to the inn. I'm just,
And
is there a problem or not with this?
he had said that he was experiencing, and I went and spoke to him about it long before this ever came up, because a friend of mine rents from him every year and told me, hey, that guy's upset. So I went over and talked, this is before he had a committee. And he said that he was having in guests tell him that when they went to the front desk, they were told they would only be given a golf cart pass if they rented from the inn. That would be very wrong. I called Brent on it. He said he did not believe it was happening, but he would talk to every employee to clarify that that's not a criteria, that inn guests are free to rent carts from whomever they wish, and the inn will give them a pass. I'm not sure whether this guy's perception is that that has stopped. I believe he thinks it may not have, and I did go back to Brent and say, are you sure? And he said yes. So that's all I can report. Again, these are private conversations, but I think, so I hope this isn't necessarily in broad, but it's per the inn, they've taken steps to ensure that that doesn't happen, okay? Yes.
I don't wanna throw a hand grenade in the table, but we have told renters at the inlets, which is the inn.
Yes.
That if they get a ticket, we'll cover it, because they weren't given passes, permits. As we've told people on the island,
Well, the
if the
interesting,
deputies give them a ticket, we'll cover it until it's resolved, which thank goodness has not happened.
the interesting point there is that, my understanding, I shouldn't say it because I'm not 100% sure. I'm not even gonna say it, but I'll stop.
I have a question. So this particular issue, is this an actual ordinance change where we need a super majority? Or is this, because this is distribution and the realtors already distribute and it does not reflect that in the ordinance? Is this an actual ordinance change where we need a super majority, or is this just something where we need a majority?
My understanding from, what I read at the previous meeting, heard at the previous meeting, I heard today, is that one of the ideas floated is that golf carts would get these passes, or golf cart owner, rental businesses would get these passes. That would require an ordinance change.
Well, let's go back and check, if you don't mind, we have to do it live. But it's possible that the ordinance merely says that a permit is required by either the golf cart company, whether it's on a golf cart or a car, the permit's required and people qualify based on whether they are a hotel guest, a house guest, or whatever. It doesn't specifically say in the ordinance itself how it is distributed.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so in that case, it wouldn't require an ordinance change for us to make a recommendation of how it's distributed.
Okay, so my answer is no? It does not require super
Do you
majority?
want time to think about it? But I wanna make sure that, I just don't wanna.
So the ordinance gets into who they are distributed to.
To, but not who does the distribution.
That's not the ordinance for the administrator.
Correct. Yes, so I think we had, as a matter of practice, said the control point is the hotel, et cetera. We did have problems in the beginning with at least one rental golf cart company issuing the people who were renting for just a few hours or the day, or in some cases giving car passes to people who were renting other equipment from them. addressed, I don't know whether it's fully been stopped.
It
Maybe
has,
they
it
didn't
has
know.
been stopped.
Yes.
That was some rogue employees that I had to talk with, and now they are not allowed to do that
Good.
ever again.
Good,
Yeah.
I was trying to leave names out of it.
No,
I
that's,
didn't wanna
I'll
throw-
own it, it did happen, and we
Yeah.
put a stop to it,
Okay.
yeah.
So the hotels have passes to pass out to their guests. So they give them obviously for their cars, why don't they give them to?
They do.
For golf carts?
They do, and that's what they do, and there's been a statement made that there was a problem that they weren't doing that. If there was, I'm told it's been corrected, but I'm sorry, I'm just answering the question, and I'll move on. I'll let you guys speak, but, been told it's been corrected, okay? I think there's still a desire and a proposal for multi-day guests for the golf cart company to be able to do it.
And does it answer your question?
It doesn't answer the question of dropping off, and I think that's the reason for the proposal.
Right.
So this helps you, this proposal? No.
If it just, but it puts the responsibility on the person renting from you.
Correct, which I don't wanna put that liability on, not per se just our customer, but that renter or homeowner.
But it is the
So,
homeowner.
I'm sorry, so what,
I would rather see a permanent sticker in the windshield.
which would be your way of issuing it, but you would be doing it only for, you could only do it legally if you were renting multi-days, okay? So the proposal would be that the golf cart company can do it for multi-day rentals.
You don't do hourly.
And,
No.
and
But when
two
you-
people who are staying on the island.
I'd like to have a better understanding of what problem we're trying to solve, exactly. What is the problem? That the renters, the people who are renting their homes are not giving guest passes to the renters, is that the problem?
In part, yes.
Can I speak up?
Sure.
Because we run into it a lot, people come to stay and they rent from different homes and they're not actually people there that they check in with. They leave a pass behind, but they don't leave multiple passes behind. So then they come and rent from us. We have no way to issue them a parking pass because, you know, my staff, there's not even parking passes there they can use because I've told them absolutely not.
Well, I'm sensitive to that, but I think it's the renter.
It is.
It's not the renter, what is it, the rentee?
The lessor.
The lessor, the responsibility to provide
It is,
these
but- yeah.
passes, and if they're not doing it, they probably aren't gonna be able to rent their place.
Well,
I can speak to that. So there's a credential that the guest has. Say everyone had one. Structural problem is, if you look at a golf cart, you have a box and then two open spaces. There's nothing on that cart where they can put that credential. If they go to a restaurant, this piece of paper is sticking in there, it could blow out and be gone. So.
Okay, so that's, the problem is,
Golf cart company needs an envelope that the credential could go in, so it doesn't blow
Like the
away,
end cards,
number
yeah.
one.
that's
that's a
But-
good solution.
But getting it from the guest to the vendor
Do you have that?
would be part of the issue.
yeah,
Is that
and
what
it
you
wouldn't,
mean? I
it
agree with that?
wouldn't be for the 3 or 4 hour rentals, that's
No,
not
I
what
get it.
we're looking
Yeah.
for.
I get it, I'm
You
just
have
trying to
the
understand
ability.
what the
Okay, one more
problem
time,
is.
please. We
So
have
the
it, yeah.
problem is, I'm hearing two problems. One, the lessors are not giving the renters cards, that's one problem. The second problem is, it's just paper, and so where do you put it? So those are the two problems?
No,
You
there's
look like
third
what
one.
In your cards?
We instituted the pockets at the end when those
Oh,
were
so
ours.
your cards have pockets?
No,
Oh.
Yeah.
they catch too much dirt.
But
Ours
they
have
could be
pockets.
pockets.
I'm just trying to understand. what the
Okay,
problem is.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, we are engaging, but
That's okay.
we haven't. I believe you said the other problem is if it can only be issued by the lessor, you do drop-offs when the lessor isn't there.
Correct.
Are you dropping off on public streets or
No,
on
we
private?
never will.
Okay. so
Only to
then
an
it-
address.
So, but on a public street in front of an address or?
Oh,
only
yes.
there? Okay, that's,
But
so.
we won't meet Johnny in front of Park.
No, no,
Place
but
and give him
my
a card.
point is you're leaving a cart on a place where they're subject to getting a ticket because you make deliveries when people aren't there,
Right.
which is only practical if you're bringing carts from off island. I don't believe our other vendors have that issue because they have retail places where people come get
Right,
their carts, but.
what we have an issue with sometimes is people rent places, and lots of times we have homeowners that rent their place, but they don't necessarily leave all their passes behind. They'll leave one pass for their vehicle, but there's no other pass in there. So it would be nice if we could have it, even if it says golf cart only on it, so that they can't take it off and put it in a car. And we'll put the specific dates, it starts here, it ends here, and that's it. And the police recognize that too.
Okay,
I have a question. How can we prevent, in passing something, another workaround for, people to come down for the day and get around the ordinance? Like, how do we prevent hourly rentals from?
Ours won't be hourly, and they have beginning and ending dates on that.
They have
They're not gonna be
requirement.
hourly. And my staff will not give them out for hourly, I will make sure of that.
okay.
Plus, I talk one-on-one with the sheriff's office, they
Yeah.
call me if there's any problems or questions.
Before we go further, actually, there's been a strong proposal for a 5-minute break, and we've been here for 3 hours now, so, let's take a 5-minute break and come back. Walk, don't run. But we can make use of this conversation and define what we want to do, okay? I think it's also good that there be some time lapse before we vote, so that people can have a chance to reflect on unintended consequences and hear from members of the committee. Right? So with that, please accept that direction. Let's talk about what it is you want to have happen and not worry about what's in the committee. And if somebody's ready to, given all this conversation, formulate a proposal, I would invite them or entertain it. Okay.
But I think she wanted like an exclusive sticker for his business, is how I kind of took it.
Yeah, to be able to issue it something,
Yeah,
some
cause he's
kind of.
a long-term renter.
Yeah, okay, so,
Slightly different, but
a couple of
He
points.
just-
Yeah, one conversation. I heard there's more than one business, so please clarify what you're asking.
Yeah.
What we would like is we can have a pass, kind of like the hotels and motels have, with our logo on it as golf cart pass only. And that way you can specify, they can't pull that out, put it in their car and run around. It's gonna be just for golf carts. Most of the time, the people already have stuff for their cars, they're renting, like, when people have, there's one person that she sends people to us for golf carts, but it's her mom's home that she's passed away. For carts all the time to the inn, we don't give them passes, the inn takes care of them. So we're not looking for that, we're just looking on some of these one-offs, and it doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while we do get a question from people saying, well, I don't have a pass for this cart, what can we do? And I'm like, well, and a lot of places, they don't wanna leave all of their passes on the table, because that opens up a whole nother can of worms.
So, yes.
I think one of the things, and I'm sympathetic to people that are long-term, we have to determine what is long-term. Is it 3 days, is it 1 week? We know that it's not gonna be the 1 day.
No, it's not gonna be just the short-term stuff.
But how do we enforce that,
The ones that we have for the rental agencies, they have a beginning and an ending date.
Date range.
And then the police know, and I get calls a lot about underage drivers and things like that. So I talk to the police officers a lot, so they'll call me if there's like a pass that they're questioning, they'll call and ask me, and I'll give them a yes or no. But we've not had a whole lot of people misusing any of the passes that we've given for, like, for instance, the Grand Flats guests, because I manage those also. And we've not had any problems with. And then at our company, we have a scanner. When they come and rent a cart, we scan their driver's license. It gets their information that's right on their driver's license. The police were very happy about that because we have all of the information that the police are gonna need to pull their driver's license. It's their legal name, their address that's on their driver's license. So we have a lot of things that we can check off that we can.
That I appreciate. What I don't wanna do is create an incentive for business that's not as diligent and ethical as yours to say, oh, here's a way that we can get around this parking ordinance and open a business.
Would it be unduly burdensome for you, when you issue these to someone, so it's your task, that you are required to keep record along with their driver's license as to where they are staying and the dates of their stay, not just the dates of the rental car, the rental, but the dates of their stay?
We can put down, because we have places where we can put notes on their reservation, and we could put the address where the rental is, like their on-island address, so where they're gonna be at while they're on island. So we can do that.
And the dates of their stay, because you could get some people, their stay's over, but they wanna rent the golf cart for another few days, because they're staying over in Rotunda, and they're gonna have park at the friend's driveway or whatever. So-
I was just about to say, my family's coming to town, she texted me yesterday asking me that exact question. They're renting in Rotunda for a large family, keeping the golf cart at our place, I'm not exactly sure what, you know, I'm like, well, we're talking about it. So-
It's not the intent to give them the right
And like,
to.
so they come with their family and, you know, do their thing and, yeah, so, but they're not staying on Boca, but they're.
Are they your
renting.
house guests?
Well, I mean, in our situation, we could technically say they're our house guests and, you know, get some passes from my grandpa, but, you know, that's my situation. But like for other folks who are renting a golf cart for a week and they're staying in Rotunda,
That's not the goal.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, so I don't know what.
What's the minimum number of nights? Is there one?
So we do 3 hour, we do 4 hour, we do a 24 hour.
Could you stand when you speak,
Oh,
please?
I'm
It's
sorry.
me a hard time.
So we do 3 hours, 4 hours, we do a 24 hour, and then like 2, 3 day, 4 day, things like that. I'm not asking for the 3 and 4 hours. They're buzzing up down that. But we don't want that anyways, because it's just too much money. We're looking for the long-term rental. These are people that are gonna be here for a few days, week, that kind of stuff. That's what we're looking for.
So if we had a requirement that was multi-day rentals, i.e. more than one day, and was only for the period of time that they were actually qualifying.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay,
We can-
not because they're staying in Rotunda and borrowing a driveway, okay.
Probably the word is night rather than day, more than one night.
Yes. Overnight rentals.
Right, okay.
And just from a legal perspective, and I always get into ordinances and enforceability and those types of things, that is gonna be something that's going to be hard for the sheriff to enforce, right? As far as whether they're verifying.
No, the idea is that the sheriff, in regular enforcement, all he has to do is if it's a valid pass, if it appears to be validly issued, you can call him and he's questioning, yes, it's validly issued. If you're asking who enforces the penalty if the company fails to keep the records or is committing fraud, that's.
I'm just saying from the standpoint of the companies and only giving it out to people who are renting for multiple days, it's going to be difficult for the sheriff to enforce. Obviously, it would have to be across the board, you know, not.
The sheriff has my cell phone.
Yeah,
I
They text and call me all the time.
We have to think about tomorrow's business, we can't just think about your business, it could be
Right,
anybody.
no, I get that.
Exactly.
Joe fly by night, and he doesn't
Okay.
have his cell phone, and he's issuing these, there's a way to get around it.
Yeah, speak again, please, because we had multiple people at once.
I'm saying, this does create opportunities, particularly, I agree that the enforcement mechanism is extremely difficult for law enforcement here, but it also creates an opportunity for somebody that wanted to cater to people that wanna just get around the ordinance and come for the day, rent a golf cart, get a permit that says I'm staying here for a week or whatever. How do we?
Or living in their car.
My
my life, Mary. Wow.
First, he didn't really say anything.
You just press the sorry I can't talk now.
Okay, I'm sorry, please.
So I go in, I got my car, cards, whatever, but I also have a rental.
Mhm.
It is the same thing, so it does become a trust thing. And trust me when I say, I know plenty of people who have a lot of those white ones, and they're handing out to a lot of people. Those are residents doing that, they're making that choice. So I'm gonna go with the businesses, it's their business, and they are not gonna mess it up. And there's always gonna be the exception to the rule, the one person who goes, we're gonna use rotunda. But I think they know how serious this is, this ordinance, and I just have to, it seems to me that they're going to, because I know plenty of people are handing out the white sheet to other people.
And I thought Park was.
Sorry to hear that, but I don't doubt that
It's
for a
true.
minute.
It's true.
I have a question.
Yes.
So, the golf carts are allowed to park down on the public accesses, or not?
They're all allowed to park on the state parks.
Okay, but.
They're only allowed to park on permit-only streets
Okay,
if they have a valid permit.
if they have it.
And the qualification for a valid permit is you're a resident, employee, a house guest, a hotel guest.
I just was wondering about the side streets. I was wondering,
No.
because I thought that was off the table altogether. Is that correct?
No,
Except if
they
you're-
are,
is that
they're
okay,
vehicles.
okay, okay.
Golf carts are vehicles,
Okay.
so if you're staying in a hotel, you can
Right.
park your vehicle on a side street.
Okay, so it's just side street. I just wanted to make sure I wasn't getting it all mixed up.
No, I mean, you can park in permit places where
Why
hotel
it's
guests
such
are allowed to
attractive
park. A golf cart and a car rented
And if
from
you give the
persons.
incentive to people to get this as a loophole,
Yeah.
then that's not what we wanna do.
Right.
Well, I think at some point you gotta trust the businesses,
Yeah.
that they're gonna act honorably. If they don't act honorably, then
We're back to enforcement.
you go back to enforcement. But, you know, the other businesses can have it, if the hotels can have it. These people are in the business of renting golf carts. That's their business. And you tell me they can rent them but they have to tell the customers you can't park anywhere. You know, I
seems to
think
be
it's
favoring
generous of her to
residents
say
over
that
businesses.
we're not gonna rent to
General.
anybody that's not staying for at least 2 days. I think, you know, that's admirable. And she's gonna police it herself, but at some point, you gotta trust the businesses. You people don't trust any of the business people on the side.
I'm next because I was raising my hand quietly inside. I'll just say, on this one, I came in the room expecting to be saying no to the proposal as it stood. But I really appreciate that the golf cart companies thought through the control problem and said, no, this will be for multi-day rentals only to people who otherwise qualify, and then adding that you're willing to keep records of that, because that would be, in my view, in whatever's required. So, then we get down to, are we so concerned about fraud that we're gonna say no? I will also say that what I'm hearing is for your business, because you're located here, you're not dropping carts off. This is, most of yours will still be done the other way, but you need a relief valve for people with these circumstances you described. From my point of view, this is not unreasonable to try, and we need to be careful in how it's designed. The passes need to have the same. Okay, and we need of identification and where the person's staying. And, you know, if there's fraud, there's penalties for that. Okay? I would just note that based on what I've heard from
To accomplish this.
well, okay, we'll find out. Let's not debate that today. I think it was productive that we said, let's discuss.
When you say multi-day, is that 3-day minimum?
No, 2 days is multi-day.
It's more than one.
It's more than one.
Over.
Now, if you want, no one has put a specific proposal out yet. I was about to, but I wanted to
I
let.
just have one point of clarification. If you think this is an ordinance, can you explain to me, I get hotel guests
So there need to be code
And we have a
changes.
509 specific license to do with the events outside of the real. Pardon me?
Do you have restrictions on number of days?
Oh, yeah.
Hourly rentals.
But there are properties that are properties that service overflows up to the end. And they do a lot of shorter term, a lot of wedding overflows and things, so that is quite a.
Can I make a motion so we can discuss the motion? Is that okay? Yes. So I would like to make a motion that we request staff to determine whether and so what, or the ordinance would be required in order to allow any company, could be ones we've never heard of, that rents golf carts for use on Gasparilla Island to people who qualify for a permit under the definitions in our current ordinance of house guest, resident, employee, hotel guest, okay? And forever and again. House guest includes people renting a home, okay? That a golf cart company may issue multi-day passes, may issue a permit for those people to use the golf cart during no more than, it has to be within the duration of their stay. It has to be documented. They have to retain that record. And the pass should include dates, beginning and end dates, basically at the same time.
Does your motion state that it has to be,
I would, before you make that motion, or that I would wanna second it, that we would, allow existing golf cart rental companies, there has to be some sort of buy-in mechanism for those to abide by the ordinance, so they can also have to agree to the, to the to the terms of it as well.
Golf cart rental companies who agree to.
That they are allowed to issue those permits in
Only.
terms of.
Yes.
To these terms.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So this could all be something, by the way, that isn't covered by the.
practice right away?
We'd have to get, I think what my proposal was that staff come back to us and tell us what it is. That will have to be in a public meeting and then we vote. So it would be October at the soonest, but I think that's not gonna cause a major problem, is it?
Oh, with us?
If it's not in effect until October. Yes, exactly. We need to see what it is.
That would be a legal matter.
Yeah, yeah, we have to see what it is. Or somebody will clean it up, you know, put it through a. Okay, is there a second to that? Louis, you second.
I
I'm
will
sorry.
second it.
Okay.
Now,
So-
the provisions that I
Right.
discussed.
Exactly, and those are acceptable, so. Are there more comments?
I just have a question, one will, when is it that we'll learn or have clarification whether or not this is a
That's something that, my office and DOT staff will look into in the coming weeks and bring back to you in October.
Can we, is there a violation? share with us a draft of what you're proposing.
We could.
Okay. So
Again,
that-
as long as
so that
there's
it-
no reply all.
Yeah, no reply all, but we can ask you individually, we can ask you questions.
So we'll hear more in October.
In October, we should be able to vote because we should have something defined in front of us that we've all had the
How
opportunity.
long a
one-on-one to
period
ask questions.
before the meeting will we get a draft copy? So we have an opportunity to read it.
Not next week.
No, but, I mean, I think a month in advance or what.
Sure.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. That doesn't have to be in the motion, but it is by agreement. All right, any other questions or comments?
And the vote will be just that we are directing staff to draft something and come back to us.
For a vote.
And we're not approving anything.
Correct.
And this would require just a simple majority vote.
Okay. Can we do it voice-wise? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion passed. We did something. Yes, we did. Presentation by the Lee County Sheriff. Or staff, I'm sorry, staff. I'd love to have one by the sheriff. That was that was subconscious stuff.
Before someone do that.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Could I
Well, let's be quiet, Bart has a question.
question? I have a question based on the ADA discussion before about, section 316, 1964. A quick read while we're on break of, and I see that section 1 deals with fees, that you can't charge fees for people. And section 2 deals with people that have the handicap sticker cannot assess them. So, I don't understand, it doesn't say that section 1.
So if the parking scheme. Okay, this applies. They don't need to pay.
Yes, but that's a separate section.
If you park somewhere, and you're required to pay, you're penalized for not paying the fee. So section 2 is saying.
I didn't read it that way, but from the county attorney, a reading on this?
They've had time to look at it, so you know, I've been asking this same question multiple times, so you're getting the county's read on it.
Well, that's your opinion, right?
It's the opinion of the county attorney.
I'm assistant county attorney.
Is it the county attorney's opinion as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So that is the position of the county.
Right. Well, I'll do a full reading instead. What I found.
I'm sure it'll continue to be questioned.
I'm sorry?
I'm sure it'll continue to be questioned.
Okay.
Okay. With that, presentation by the Lee County staff.
So the only thing I was gonna bring up on my end, Michael Jacob did a sunshine law presentation. Didn't cover, voting conflicts. I think they ran out of time last time. Is that something that you all want to hear about today? Not today?
Can you give us a 2-minute, because I think there are
Let me, so,
possibilities that people
Michael
may need to
had
disclose.
basically said in the previous discussion that it's a matter of class, right? It's a matter of how big is the class. So for today's purposes, I would probably say that operating business owners, as long as, I would probably advise them. You can't vote. Does that make sense? If whatever matter is being voted
announce that at the committee meeting, you need to abstain from voting, and then there's a form that you have to file. If you're ever questioning whether you have a conflict, I would suggest reaching out to my office well in advance of the meeting so we can, discuss it, walk through it, and have a conversation about it before you show up at the meeting. That's kind of like high level view of it. If you have any specific questions, feel free to reach out to me.
I have one.
Go ahead.
So it's clear we have residents on the island and they have an interest. We have business people on the island, they have an interest. My understanding is, yes, they're island businesses, that's a claim under the ordinance. And so they're not disproportionately affected. Golf cart companies would be, but in general. So they don't have to disclose. What if someone's invested in a business therefore not a class? That would be materially impacted potentially by or a discussion here, would they have to disclose?
So if you were basically, let me use this example. So go back to the golf carts. You have financial interest in that company. You need to abstain because you have financial interest to gain. It's a fairly small class organization.
If I'm an investor in an off-island development that would benefit from relaxation ordinances here.
That sounds like.
What if I'm developing a residential property or a hotel right over the river? But it's not a class within the ordinance. So in other words, if I'm gonna make $1 million or tens of millions because I'm investing in a property right over the river, and it's only gonna work out well, or it could be argued it would benefit from free access to the island.
Again, that's a pretty obscure hypothetical. I mean, what is the vote?
There's a drawback of Form 1, like in an elected official, there's a Form 1, and you list your financial interest, and that would be the tieback on that.
No, it's a separate form.
There are opportunities over the bridge.
The only other example that I might give, if you're a business owner and you own a restaurant, and for some reason we're looking at an ordinance change that's going to create a parking lot right in front of your business, that might be. Well, that might be a discussion.
Addison, though?
It's the old Addison property, I think that they might have maybe given it to the county or something. Yeah.
Are you
We
talking
were
across from
about
the
to have
range
a
light?
discussion.
Are you talking across from the range light?
Yeah, way down there.
No, I think there's a
No,
small piece.
not the conservation property.
No, it's not.
North of the entrance into Boca Bay, there's a little piece right there.
Yeah, it's a little piece, and so I'm just throwing it out there as a possibility.
What we, normally we would, but that's not the way the agenda is. Yeah, no, but the agenda is. Okay, so let's take. Are there any additional public comments? No, we warmed down, including ourselves.
Can we all try and make a determination to try and make these under 4-hour meetings? Should not be 4 hours. In the interest of time and respecting everybody's time, it's painful.
Right, I agree, as chair, I have committee members that can't speak. So I would propose to two things, just as protocol here, that if you've already commented on it, don't comment until it's clear that other people are. So stop the back and forth, okay? Because that takes a lot of time, and often things get clarified other ways.
Thank you.
And that you only comment twice if you actually have something. So if members would agree to do that, and stick to that only one at a time, I think we could have taken an hour. But as chair, it's difficult for me to tell people you can't speak. If we can all agree to those general guidelines, the whole people do that. Is that something everybody approach? Sure. Okay, that's what we shall do. And if it's problematic, needed conversation, speak up. But otherwise, that's the default. Yes.
Hugh, I don't wanna extend the meeting any longer, but are we gonna have an agenda for the next meeting?
I was told do public comment first. Public comment is now closed. Agenda items for next meeting. Are there? Yes.
I would suggest two. I would suggest when the, if Mark has anything to update, and possibly vote on, rules concerning golf courses.
And don't we have to talk about the Methodist Church?
Yep, one at a time, yes. The Methodist Church.
If there is a proposal.
I think there is a proposal. Anything else? Well, so we won't, Methodist Church is shorthand. You can talk to Joe about what goes on the agenda, but I think it will be for institutions on between second and third.
I don't think the word event is correct.
It's parking on Sundays.
Parking, I'm sorry, parking
no,
on,
they took that out.
parking Sundays and Christmas Eve by institutions on Gilchrist.
Parking on second and third, not institutions between second and third, right?
Right, the institutions on Gilchrist allowed to
They want second.
on the median, Sundays until 1 p.m.
I thought they said,
Christmas Eve till.
well, no, but
a number of different ways. It's also been proposed that it's not the whole block, it's only the first 170 feet.
That's something we can discuss.
All of that, just so we flag the
Yeah, I
topic.
think there've been a couple of
And, you know,
permutations.
hopefully, hey, can we all agree that what's been proposed is specific enough and has been out there in the community long enough? In October, all 15 people will be here. I haven't heard anybody say they can't, so. All right, anything else for the agenda?
I don't know if my sound would be possible. There's not a sound system. Would we all agree that this room was better than the auditorium?
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
100%.
And we could fit another chairs in there too.
But we wanted to make sure there was enough room
It was
for
great.
ADA,
It
if
worked.
there was any, wheelchair attendees.